Hey there, Internet. I'm Annie.
I'm Kit.
And I'm Mac.
And this is I Will Fight You, a podcast where we've been turning opinion into stone-cold facts since 1986. Kit, what is today's fact?
Wesley Snipes should be allowed to do as much tax evasion as he wants.
Oh, okay. Y'all, no, it's not Blade today.
Blade is a different episode, but the fact will be the same.
No, this is To Wong Foo, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, which is a mouthful of a movie. So obviously we needed extra hands to talk about this. So we brought on a friend of ours, Meganbob. Hi, Bob.
Hi, this is the movie that we watched at my 10th birthday party sleepover.
Oh my.
Oh, it's one of those.
This episode has been cursed, folks.
It is cursed.
Don't worry about it, folks. Oh my God. We tried to record this once. Matt got sick. We rescheduled it. Bob got sick. We rescheduled it again. Kit got sick. And I almost had to go to a funeral, but it was a different weekend.
Annie went out for coffee this morning, and I was surprised to find out that she did not get hit by a car on the way there or back.
I was half expecting in the 5-minute drive from my house to the nearest Starbucks that I was expecting to get into a wreck. But we're here now.
We're here now for an enjoyable movie.
We're red, we're wild, it's the Strawberry Social.
Oh, wow.
This was my first time seeing this movie.
What a dream. Congratulations.
Yeah, this was an experience for me. Mac, I feel like you've probably seen this.
I haven't, actually. This is my first time. Well,
oh my God.
It was my first time before we recorded the first time. Or we're going to record the first time.
No shit.
Now I've seen it like 3 or 4 times.
Lucas pitched this to me as basically a Hallmark Christmas movie plot, and he's not wrong.
I mean,
It's not an incorrect summary.
that's why it's so good.
Yeah, and now Kit and Bob, you guys are old hat to this movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
very old.
I got shown this in my, I think it was my 8th grade drama class. The teacher put this on for us.
Oh, what a good teacher. Oh my God.
It's a very good teacher. She also showed us a teeny tiny little bit of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then she was like, there's no way I can show you the rest of this movie.
Oh, so that's why you're like this.
This is why I'm like this, is that one drama teacher in 8th grade.
So fortunate.
That'll do it.
I was shown this movie by my cousin. I might have been 9. But it made such an impression on me that I then, for my 10th birthday party, we had a sleepover. The parents of these children, it was too early in the world for them to know that this might not be the kind of thing that they wanted their children to see. And so I just showed this movie to a bunch of other children.
Yes, perfect. Excellent.
See, that was basically how I saw Practical Magic, and that's why I'm like this.
This movie's so important to me. It's also maybe the first CD that I ever bought.
How come all my sleepovers just consisted of me listening to a broken CD of Do It Like They Do on the Discovery Channel at 3 a.m. on repeat?
Hey, and no, we've heard about your sleepovers. There were kissing practices.
Oh.
Yeah, like Mackenzie, I don't think you can make that claim.
Oh, there was kissing practice later. Those were later ones. My early ones weren't like that.
Let's run through some data here before we get into the movie. So, context, folks. This is a 1995 movie that stars Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and a baby John Leguizamo.
So baby.
Recurring character of the podcast.
Yeah, no, not quite as baby as he was in Super Mario Brothers.
I crunched the numbers. This is 2 years post Super Mario Brothers, 1 year before Romeo plus Juliet.
Oh.
So basically, John Leguizamo said Luigi Mario. He just talked about trusting the fungus, and then immediately after that wrapped, he was like, I am going to go be a drag princess.
Yes.
I feel like we've got to find a John Leguizamo movie that came out in 1994 to complete the streak.
It's true. We're just going to have to make a whole subgenre of John Leguizamo baby pictures. This is directed by Beeben Kidron? Which sounds like a Mad Libs name to me.
Yeah.
But this person who directed this movie didn't really direct much other stuff. She's currently a baroness.
Way to come up in the world, girl.
Is there further explanation, or is that the end of that story?
From Wikipedia, she's serving in the House of Lords. Quote, she is an advisor to the Institute for Ethics and AI at Oxford University, a commissioner on the UN Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development, and founder and chair of the Five Rights Foundation.
God damn.
I would wonder if this is the same person, but that is a very rare name, so yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, it's on the Wikipedia page. It's all in the same thing.
Wow.
This is written by Douglas Carter Bean, who usually writes musical theater. Most notably, he did the books for the Sister Act and Xanadu stage adaptations. He also actually wrote the book for the stage adaptation of To Wong Foo, the musical.
Whoa.
And what I love is that he originally envisioned To Wong Foo as a stage show, but said he realized having a car on stage would be difficult. And when I was researching this, I read this aloud to my husband, who immediately said, well, it didn't stop Bye Bye Greasy, which is exactly why we're married. Lucas, please, I know you already have Coach McGurk singing All Race pulled up. I need that here, too.
All race, to feel the wind in my face, and all race, to feel alive, and all race.
Speed Racer thanks you. And I also saw a name flash by when I was rewatching this last night, and I immediately excitedly messaged Mackenzie about this. The choreography for this movie is done by one Kenny Ortega.
We're all in this together. Da-dee-doo.
He's like Disney's favorite choreographer / maker of children's movies. Yeah, he's the guy who like directed and choreographed all of the High School Musicals. And all of that ilk.
Get your head in the game.
He also did the Julie and the Phantoms, the one season ad of a Brazilian show.
Okay.
That's on Netflix. He does a lot of work for like young adult media, especially when it comes to dancing. He's actually a great choreographer, and he did all of the little dancing here.
Lucas, this is for you. Whenever Annie said Kenny Ortega, my brain was like, that's not real. And I immediately thought it was Kenny Omega and was having a real weird moment. Clearly, Kenny Omega could, but he's chosen a different career
Kenny
path.
Omega could. Yeah, I believe in him. He's just a good boy.
He is. I mean, also a bad boy, but also a good boy.
Sometimes wrestling be like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes the good boys are bad boys.
And sometimes they're drag queens.
Sometimes they're fucking unbelievable drag queens.
Yeah,
God fucking damn.
Like all three of these actors, like especially like two of them were like the like macho movie actors of the 90s, and yet they put so much work into making these characters like not just good drag queens, but good characters.
Yes.
And they continued to be proud of it for like years afterwards. Like to this day, if you are listening off Wesley Snipes' movie and you skip To Wong Foo, he's going to be like, no, you missed one.
Yeah. I also was reading some interviews, and he was like, my only regret about that movie is that I didn't have better makeup. And I was like, that's legit.
Fucking incredible.
I want to say I read somewhere that Patrick Swayze was so gung-ho to get this role because they considered a lot of people, including Robin Williams, which is why he makes a cameo in this one. Patrick Swayze was like, all right, look, I am going to get dressed to the nines. I'm going to go in full drag. And if we can walk down the street and nobody clocks me, then I get the role. And he works it.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze practiced, I believe, like went out ahead of the audition and went out, I think, in Hollywood and was like, all right, I'm going to just go live this life for a minute.
There's something that Nick Offerman talks about a bit, which is that, like, you know, he's even as emblematic of masculinity as his characters and his acting career is, he's very quick to point out that every single actor is, at their core, a sort of dweeby little theater kid. Who really, really loves acting, and therefore that is sort of the angle to approach these actors from when they decide to play characters like this. That down at their core, these are theater kids.
And they're all great in this movie, honestly.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Fuck. I also like this script. I just want to say I genuinely like this script. I don't care how hallmarky it is.
Yeah.
This script has some moments in it. I was sort of, whenever Chi-Chi comes at Vita and is like, oh, this white lady telling these two women of color, like, what the fuck to do? Like, back the fuck off, you piece of shit. It was like, 1995?
And there's some absolutely brutal jokes in this movie, too. Like some offhand references that, like, if you look them up, you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Which I will point them out when we get to them.
Yes, please. Also, just quick note to folks, there is going to be, we're not going to repeat any of it, but if you do sit down and watch this movie, there are some off-color jokes about Latines in this movie.
Yes, there are. Extremely.
Because it was 1995.
To be fair, it's part of the character development.
Yeah.
Right, it is, but it's also there, and they didn't necessarily have to go exactly that kind of angle to show this character arc, but 1995.
Yes.
There's also a racist cop, but he gets his comeuppance, so it's okay.
Yes, the racist cop does get his comeuppance.
Racist, homophobic, sexist.
Yes, this movie also says fuck cops.
Yes, it does. It absolutely says fuck cops.
Quick point of order, just speaking for myself at the very least, and probably for some of our audience, I don't really watch a whole lot of stuff that is involved in drag culture. I haven't really been to any shows or anything. Quick point of order for pronoun usage. When they are in drag, it is she, her, yes, is the general thing. How do pronouns work with drag queens and how do we switch?
A lot of it's personal preference, but for the most part, when they're in drag, it's she, her.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, a lot of them spend the whole movie in drag, so that simplifies things a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. This isn't really going to come up, but sort of just in general. Then I think we are ready to get started, y'all. We open with song.
I listened to that song this morning to get pumped for this. That is how I got pumped for this. And that's how I got dressed this morning, was to the song that they do their getting dressed montage.
Yeah, we open with a montage cut between Patrick Swayze's character and Wesley Snipes' character, both getting, basically coming fresh out of the shower and getting dressed to the nines, just in their full drag outfit, because they're all going to a contest tonight.
Yeah, and this drag dress-up scene is, it is so lovingly shot. At the time...
It is so amazing.
A lot of drag queens in movies, they were either played for laughs or they were like Silence of the Lambs shit, where it was meant to convey some kind of menace. But this is just you really get a sense here that the characters are really enjoying dressing themselves up like this, and you were invited to enjoy this along with them.
It is ritualistic.
Yeah.
It is unfucking believable. I love this montage with all my heart. Whenever I saw it again, I had not seen it in maybe more than a decade, and my heart was instantly like, yes, me too. Even though this is not my life in any way, but I was like, I too can get dressed like I love myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very, very clear that this is a movie made by written by a queer person.
The two characters here are Patrick Swayze playing Miss Vida Bohème, which is just a terrific drag name. I love it so much. And Wesley Snipes is Noxzema Jackson, which she later says she's Jesse's daughter.
There we go.
These ladies are getting ready to go to the drag show where one of them will be named champion.
Yep, Drag Queen of the Year, which we also get a brief flash of our third character, John Leguizamo, playing Chichi Rodriguez, making her way down the street towards the Drag Queen of the Year competition as well. And then we also get a whole the backstage dressing room for all the queens. And these are all mostly just real life drag queens, including Coco Peru, who has a YouTube channel, which you should check out.
They do this great sequence where the curtain comes up, everybody is posing. They do this big thing where there's a runway, everybody just shows off all of their incredible outfits. I really love how regal Vida looks here.
Mm-hmm.
Swayze, Snipes, and Leguizamo, they have all put a lot of thought into how their characters move and perform. So Noxzema's very bombastic and she vogues and she exaggerates her hip swishes, and Chi-Chi can barely fucking walk in those shoes, and Vida works that catwalk like she's fucking royalty.
Mm-hmm.
Hot damn.
As I rewatched this actively made me contact one of my friends I always go to drag shows to and go, we need to go find another drag show.
And it's great because, the crowd is just going wild. It is this fantastic celebration to really bring the audience in.
Oh yeah, this is a drag ball. Everyone's here for this, including a couple of queens in the back, one of whom is dressed just literally as Queen Elizabeth for some reason.
And so we are introducing all of these women and their incredible, incredible drag names. There are just some great puns in here. What I like is that Viva Bohème and Noxzema Jackson and Señorita Chi-Chi are all just incidental in here. They're not given the spotlight. They are just another one of the many very good drag queens present. And then we also meet last year's Drag Queen of the Year, who is, of course, a cameo from RuPaul. And this is the greatest thing.
Her drag name is Rachel Tensions, and she's wearing a fucking Confederate flag dress.
Oh my fucking god.
Descends from the ceiling in a swing.
Yes. Some real Cirque du Soleil kind of like, how did this theater have the rigging system for this? But, you know.
How long was she sitting there?
Oh, you just know there's a stagehand on there holding on for dear life.
Oh my god.
Honestly, I just feel like this is the only time I should ever see the Confederate flag is
Yes.
when it is worn full of sequins by a black drag queen. Like,
Correct.
this is the appropriate setting for the Confederate flag.
Yes.
God, Rachel Tensions is just a good drag name.
Yeah, it is.
Rachel Tensions in a Confederate flag. God damn.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. And it's an incidental bit. Rachel Tensions announces that the winner of the Drag Queen of the Year, and this is in New York City, is going to get a paid round-trip ticket to Hollywood where she can compete in the Drag Queen of America contest. That's right, this is regionals.
Mm-hmm.
And she opens the envelope handed to her by a very
muscular man in bondage.
Yeah.
I would hesitate to call him a leather daddy. I don't think he's old enough to be a daddy, but he is in leather and a couple of chains, which leads to a joke from Rachel Tension saying, I don't know who he is, but if there's a snowstorm tonight, he's going on my tires.
And the winner is a tie. They actually got 2 tickets.
The winner is a tie between, who would guess it, but Vita Boheme and Noxzema Jackson.
Oh my god, there's a moment where, like, in the silence, Chi-Chi starts walking forward
Oh.
and then is absolutely crestfallen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And then runs off the stage.
Oh, and falls.
Poor Chi-Chi.
Oh, she wanted it. She wanted it so bad.
As Vita and Noxzema are walking down the runway, you get Chi-Chi just kind of trying, desperately just scrambling across, falling, because she cannot walk in those shoes, and then keeps on running.
We actually see Chi-Chi just a few minutes later. As Noxzema and Vita are leaving, they find Chi-Chi crying on the stairwell.
Mm.
Oh god, this is such a great exchange.
Or Vita is essentially like, Noxzema, ask the small Latin boy in drag why he's crying.
Yeah, Noxzema, the little Latin boy in drag, is crying. Ask the little Latin boy in drag why he's crying. And Noxzema, thoroughly unimpressed.
Little Latin boy in drag, why are you crying?
He just does not care.
I love that, like, Vita approaches, like, everything with an air of theatricality.
Yes. Yes. Hundo P.
Yeah, this also establishes a very important thing about Noxzema, which is she does not want to get involved. Don't involve Noxzema in a situation. She doesn't want to do it.
Nope.
Yeah, because what happens here is, like, Chi-Chi is just having a meltdown, and she's like, I can't do anything right. You guys are so beautiful. I don't know what I'm doing. I just wanted to feel special. And Vita is instantly like, oh no.
We must adopt this poor child.
Yep.
We must adopt this poor child and turn him from a small Latin boy in drag to a queen.
To which Noxzema is just like, nah,
Don't want to.
That would
absolutely not. No, thank you.
not into it, thanks.
I would prefer not to. So Vita drags Noxzema upstairs, and we just cut from Vita saying, Noxzema and I need to have a conversation upstairs, and Noxzema saying, I'm not going anywhere with you. We cut to them in the dressing room, and Vita explaining why they have to do this.
Oh.
It's very much like the drag queen version of that cut with the guy that's like, oh, there's no way you're getting me in a dress. Not no way, not no how. And then you switch and he's in a dress.
Yeah.
Can't believe he got me in a dress.
And we also establish here that, like, Vita is basically Noxzema's drag mother. They've been friends for a really long time and know each other quite well, which is going to factor in later.
It's a bit like a vampire sire, except you just look fantastic. Well, actually, with vampires, you also look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Something to think about.
Yeah, minus the need for human blood, unless you really, really want to.
It's less blood and more brunch.
Mm.
Yeah. I love that Vita is like, there is a child crying on the stairs. We must adopt her immediately.
So they drag Chi-Chi off to the appearance that they have to make at the China Bowl, this restaurant off of Times Square. Incidentally, Samuel Delaney's Times Square Red, Times Square Blue is really good, and everybody should read it. But they go and, show up to this restaurant. At one point, a woman approaches Noxzema and says, "I wish I was as beautiful as you." And she's like, "Oh, honey, good luck," which is just terrific.
Everybody applauds them at the after party. They take a seat in a booth with a whole bunch of photos behind them, and they are approached by Robin Williams here, who is John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, which they all say with a very straight face.
Yeah, they keep saying it repeatedly.
Yeah.
I love this cameo so much.
Yep. The only reference we get to it basically is Noxzema saying, "Oh, his name is my name too," and to which John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt is like, "Oh, do people always shout? I hate when they do that."
Which definitely seems like something Robin Williams just completely ad-libbed there.
Oh yeah, that whole exchange feels like an ad-lib. But anyway, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt does transportation, and they have decided they are going to sell their plane tickets to him in order to take Chi-Chi with them. And at first they're like, "Oh, can we go by train?" And it turns out the train for 3 people is more expensive than the plane for 2 people.
Which is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have done that math myself.
Trains in the States are bad. They're so expensive.
Trains in the States are bad.
It's so expensive and you can't even get anywhere. But they instead decide, well, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt passes over a business card, and we get this great bit where he passes it to Vita. Vita goes to read it, and she does that, like, "I need glasses, but I'm not going to admit it" thing, where she holds it out at a distance and then shakes her head and just hands it to Noxzema.
Good character bit.
I love that they got Robin Williams in here just for a brief bit.
Yeah.
Like, he's so fun in this. Honestly, it really makes me want to go watch The Birdcage.
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that Robin Williams, kept willingly being in these really gay movies in the 90s was, I think, pretty cool of him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whenever he showed up, I legitimately was like, it's Robin Williams!
Yeah.
I got so
That's
excited.
my dad!
Yeah. Big feelings, big feelings.
Oh, and at one point he suggests they take the bus, and Noxzema's like, "I do not take the bus. You must have mistaken me for Miss Rosa Parks."
Nah.
Which is such a good line.
Yeah, I love all of the times that Noxzema is just like, "Hey, no, I'm not getting in a situation. Have you noticed that I'm black and gay?"
Mm-hmm.
She has very good reasons not to get into situations.
Yeah, no, she's like, not getting into it.
So they have been handed a ticket that is any car in Crazy Ezekiel? Was that it?
I don't remember. It was something like that.
That sounds right.
Crazy Elijah, my cars are my children.
Any car on Crazy Ezekiel's lot is $50, which even in 1990s money is a steal.
Yeah, even in 1990s money, $50 for a car is nuts.
It's very weird that these plane tickets are sellable.
Yeah, this...
I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
What a different time.
You can just sell plane tickets? You don't have to, hand over your firstborn?
To just a guy. You don't have to call Delta, not jack shit. Just a guy can, he's a friend. He can handle it for you. I'm like, wait, what?
Think about it. You wouldn't even have to prove you were the person whose name was on the ticket until you, were boarding the plane.
And even then, you could just say, yep, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody acting in good faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-9/11 air travel was fucking wild.
God damn.
But yeah, $50 for a car is nuts. As they are having this conversation about, oh dear God, we're 3 gay people, 2 of whom are people of color, on a road trip across America. This will go badly. Vita is not paying attention because Vita has opened up her compact to check her makeup and has spotted in the reflection a portrait of Miss Julie Newmar.
Mm-hmm.
That is, of course, signed To Wong Foo, thanks for everything.
Oh my God, it's the name of the movie.
That's the name of the movie. That's
Oh my
the
God.
movie. That's
Oh my
the thing
God,
we're
the
watching.
title.
They said it.
That's what we're watching.
They said the thing.
Yeah, she does a bit where she just says, "Nobody say anything frivolous for the next few minutes. I'm having a significant experience," which is a line that I repeat many times in my life. She goes on for a few minutes extolling the virtues of Julie Newmar, calling her statuesque, and then
You can't describe her without saying the word statuesque.
she says, "You were the only Catwoman," which, no, I'm sorry, I will not hear this slander against Eartha Kitt.
Which is funny because they even play some Eartha Kitt music later.
Yeah, what the fuck?
There can be many Catwomans. Catswomen.
Catswoman. Catswoman? Like
Catswoman.
attorneys general?
Catswoman. Yeah, exactly. Look, if there's ever an opportunity to create superfluous internal pluralization, you have to take it. That is my rule in life.
You do. That is a law.
Yeah, Catwoman.
So Vita's like, we're gonna steal this fucking picture and she will be like our guiding star, our avatar, our totem on this road trip.
This photo itself, not even just Julie Newmar, but this photo in particular, is something of almost holy significance.
Yeah.
So she steals it, obviously.
So she just straight up just steals it off the wall.
Be gay, do crimes. And then we cut to Crazy Ezekiel's used car lot.
Where Chi-Chi has found a Cadillac convertible with leopard print seats.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
She says the seats are like butter. That's some gungy leopard print. If they're like butter, that's sticky. That's very gross.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, if it's leather and they're going to be in a convertible in the sun, their thighs are going to be sticking to everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's going to be sticking to everything.
And Chi-Chi's always in those, like, booty shorts, too, so, like...
So cute.
Oh, peeling. Ooh. Vita sits in the car, and she's like, oh, I feel just like Jane Mansfield in a car like this.
Which is the first of one of this movie's really brutal jokes, and Noxzema even points out, bad car reference. Jane Mansfield was an actress largely considered to be a dollar store Marilyn Monroe who was killed in a car crash. There's a rumor she was decapitated, but that's probably not true. Incidentally,
But we can't say for sure.
Annie, when she came to visit me at Edmonton, we went to the Fringe, which is a theater festival in a bunch of places, but including Edmonton. And as we're sitting there on the grass, this drag queen takes one look at us, sees Annie in an undercut and flannel, me in a snakeskin, like, button-down shirt, goes, target demographic, comes over and says, hey, do you want to come to my play, the Jane Mansfield Holiday Special? It's about Satanism. And we were like, yes, we would.
This is like the summer after I came out, so I was feeling extremely validated.
Oh, so good.
Yes. I mean, extremely valid that this drag queen took one look at you and yet went, they'd probably come and take a look at my, my drag queen show about Satanism and Jane Mansfield. And it was a good show. It was really funny.
Gorgeous.
It was a very fun show. I still think about that a lot.
Guest appearance by Anton LaVey. It was great. Anyway, Jane Mansfield killed in a car crash. Bad thing to say you feel like in a car. Brutal joke.
But you know what? The vibes are great, even though Ezekiel himself is like, please, for your own safety, go with the Toyota Corolla.
This car is a wreck. You will be killed in it.
Which is like, also, the Toyota Corolla, which is such a damning thing to say.
It is.
Yeah, please, go with the and then they cut to the Toyota Corolla, and it's a Toyota Corolla.
It's a 1995 Toyota Corolla,
Yep.
if that.
And they're looking
Yep.
at it and going, okay, style or substance? And we just get the shot of them going, and then they're on the road in the Cadillac, because of course they are.
I mean, sometimes you make sacrifices.
Vita also takes a moment to, like, pull out the ashtray.
Because cars had that in 95.
Yep. And just use it as a little stand, a little easel, perhaps, for the photo of Julie Newmar, so she will watch them all during this trip.
She will guide them.
We get all the way out of New York to Pennsylvania, and we cut to them looking at the map, and they come across a name that is spelled Balacynwyd.
And of course, nobody knows how to pronounce this except for Vita. She knows it's Balacynwood because that's her hometown. It's Welsh.
And they're like, I want to see where she's from. I want to see little baby Vita land.
Yeah, I want to see where you were birthed.
Baby Vita Land.
They got a plaque up, a monument.
They must.
So they start driving, and Vita's pointing out things she did in her childhood. Like, that's where I was told to stop acting out this part.
Here's where me pretending to be a famous actress ruined the Methodist picnic. At one point, Chi-Chi's like, oh, I didn't know you were rich. And Vita's like, I'm not rich. My parents are rich.
Which should probably already be a bit of a conversational red flag.
But Chi-Chi's a bit oblivious.
But they don't pick up on it.
I think Noxzema knows not to keep pushing, but Chi-Chi does not. And Chi-Chi's like, well, why would you give this all up? And Vita's like, Vita gave this all up to be Vita.
Yeah.
Even today, if you're a gay kid, there's a non-zero chance your parents kick you out.
And then we finally pull up at the house Vita grew up in. There's a huge lawn between the house, this ridiculous house.
Oh my god, this lawn is so big.
It's a fucking bowling green.
A hill, even.
This is Wasp Central. Holy shit.
You must ascend a mount to make it to this, what she will later call an imitation Tudor-style home.
Which, looking at it, no, it's not.
No.
That's not even imitation Tudor.
But it definitely makes your skin kind of crawl a little looking at the house, but you also kind of want to go there. And she just sort of pulls up and looks, and perhaps hearing the car idling, the door opens. And this waspy-ass old white woman comes out. Vita takes off her sunglasses, and the look on her face as she makes eye contact with this woman is devastating.
Oh god, it is so hopeful and so terrified at the same time.
It is a deer in headlights. It is full of want and just it is.
Patrick Swayze's a really good actor, you guys.
Yeah.
You can just tell just by the expression on Vita's face that this is her mother.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't even need that in the script. It's just right there. It's all over her. And she's got the sunglasses in a hand, and she kind of extends a hesitant wave of recognition. And the woman at the door, the camera sort of zooms in on her very quickly as realization hits her, and she goes about face and walks back in and closes the door as the camera pulls away from her.
Oh.
Yeah. The kind of recoiling disgust on her face is so painful.
Yeah. And the devastation on Vita's face, even after all this, even after she is an adult, that she is successful, that she has friends who understand her, that rejection is still devastating to her. Oh.
So Vita grabs that map and just rips it to pieces and says, who needs maps anyway? And they drive off.
Yeah, maps are cheating. And Chi-Chi's like, no, they're not. And is desperately grabbing as the map as Vita, like, bangs a full Yui, and not a clean one. She goes up on the curb a bit, and then she drives off, leaving the map behind.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that this is not even a scene that, like, you might not necessarily have this scene, just this incidental little thing that is not, like, brought up regularly. It is just something that you, the audience, have in the back of your head to explain why Vita is the way she is. And it's something she will call back to, not directly, much, much later in the film, but it's just this perfect little nugget of, like, understanding of the fundamental nature of why she is the kind of person that she is.
Yeah, it's one of those scenes that, like, it doesn't necessarily progress the plot, but it is very important for Vita's character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is all contextual. Also, sidebar, this is 1995. It's not like we were in, you know, Route 66 era, but the interstates may not have been as cleanly linked at this point.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily need to just keep heading west. And also, reminder, she tore up the map. They don't have GPS.
Yeah, they don't have Google Maps in there.
And they're mostly following highways and country roads.
Yeah, Vita explicitly says she's going to navigate by vibes.
Which is why the rest of the movie goes the way it does.
Yep. And this leads into a conversation with Chi-Chi about how if you're going to be a drag queen, you know, you have to have a certain outlook. And Chi-Chi's like, what do you mean? I'm already a drag queen. And the other two are like, no, you're fucking not.
There's this bit where, like, Noxima defines the different ways in which, like, people assigned male at birth interact with fashion and femininity. There's a couple of terms that are a little outdated at this point, but at some point she does say, when a gay man has too much fashion sense for one gender, he is a drag queen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The distinction made here is transvestite versus transsexual versus drag queen, which the description here is a bit outdated and prescriptive. These categories have a lot of overlap, but it was the first time I saw in a movie where there was any distinction made at all, where there was any kind of taxonomy discussed here between the different reasons that someone, you know, who was assigned male at birth might put on a dress. In pop culture at the time, and, you know, to be honest, now, a lot of the time these categories are just, you know, elided under the major category of queer pervert.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I really appreciated the fact that, like, you know, as a little 13-year-old watching this movie, I was like, a system. I know a system. I like systems. This makes sense to me now.
And again, like, you can tell that this is actually a movie made by queer people.
Yeah.
This is a movie written by someone who actually is a part of this culture and is lovingly showing it. But Chi-Chi doesn't really like being talked down to, especially since they perpetually identify her as a boy in a dress to say that she is just not a drag queen.
Yeah, which is interesting in particular, in part because in later interviews, John Leguizamo would talk about how he played Chi-Chi as a trans woman. He said if the movie were made now, he would want Chi-Chi to be played by an actual trans actress, but the way he was playing her at the time was as a trans woman, as opposed to the other two who are very firmly like cis men who are drag queens.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That informs so much of Chi. Oh, that's very good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Chi-Chi is also like, she's from a background of poverty. She's a sex worker. There's a lot to Chi-Chi as a character that John Leguizamo was like really enthusiastic about, like, you know, portraying her as like a whole person, you know, up to and including the fact that like when he was growing up, a lot of the girls he knew would wear foundation that was way, way too light for their skin tone because they wanted to be paler. So Chi-Chi wears foundation that is much too light for her skin tone.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that breaks my brain wide open for Chi-Chi. That clicked so well. Shit. Yeah, she's trans.
She's such a good character.
She is.
Yeah.
She's a good kid. So perpetually identifying Chi-Chi as a boy in a dress just pisses her off so much. She's like, no, pull over, and basically starts trying to get out of the convertible while the car is in motion. Yeah. So Vita has to pull over real quick.
I get the feeling Chi-Chi has tucked and rolled out of a moving car multiple times in her life up to this point.
And Chi-Chi, like, grabs her stuff. She's like, no, I don't need this. I don't need this at all. And Vita's like, honey, we are trying to mentor you.
Okay, so you're not a drag queen. What if you're a drag princess? Which Chi-Chi is really hype about.
Like, immediately, like an absolute about face immediately. And she's like, I can live with that. A princess. A princess, like a younger queen. Yeah, that's me. I'm a princess.
Like a younger, cuter queen, huh?
Yeah. So she gets back in the car, and then Vita and Noxima start bullshitting.
Oh yeah, they're making this all up on the spot about how the 4 steps becoming a true drag queen.
Yeah.
And Chi-Chi's like, oh, what are they? And Noxima's like, you'll know.
We will tell you when you reach them.
Yeah, we'll tell you when you did it. But not before. You have to guess.
Yeah, Vita even calls Noxima the Duchess of Protocol and determining when she's reached each step.
And then we do a road trip montage.
It's so good.
I love road trip montages.
They're dancing along to Brick House. They're doing a dance along with a bunch of people on a passing train.
At some point, they take so many wrong turns, they end up at a bridge that is not done yet.
Yeah, because they don't have a fucking map.
And this is like all throughout the day. And correct me if I'm wrong, did they go through a costume change at some point during this day? Because this is the same day.
Yes, they did change. They do multiple daily costume changes throughout this movie.
I love it so much.
Which feels right, honestly.
Yeah, I love that about this movie.
Every drag queen I've known changes their outfit constantly, and they're all the most extravagant thing, and I'm like, I don't have that energy.
Mackenzie, I've seen you wear a cape in public.
Yeah, but it's an all-day cape.
It's an all-day cape. I'm not changing that cape 5 times.
This is fair.
So eventually, they finally pull over at a hotel, a motel, a budget host's inn.
Yes.
Yep. Which they're very trepidatious about because, like, Vita specifically says that she and Noxie have been through this before where, like, they will go to stay in a hotel and people are cruel to them and it could get violent, etc., etc. So they're very leery of doing this. And Chi-Chi's like, no, fuck it. I'm sleeping in a real bed tonight. Fuck you. Gets out of the car and goes into the lobby. And Vita and Noxie have to chase after her.
I love the way Chi-Chi marches when she is just done with this shit.
She still cannot walk in those shoes.
At all. It is like she is tripping continuously in a direction, but by God, she's going to do it.
Yeah, it's like Terry Pratchett described ass walk.
Yeah.
But Chi-Chi marches in, and there is, like, she even gets wolf whistled at.
She fires back, take a picture, it'll last longer.
Mm-hmm.
Until, like, she gets in there, and, oh my God, this 90s-ass hotel. There's smoking in there. There's a casino in there.
Gorgeous.
There's knockoff Tiffany lamps. It's a lot. It's so much.
You can smell this place.
Oh, yeah.
That carpet is beige, and you don't want to know what's in it because it used to be white.
And this concierge comes up, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have met you outside. And they're like, yes, you should have. And it's like, great. I'll take you back. You can see all of your friends back in the ladies' room. And they're like, our friends?
Mm-hmm.
Whomst?
Whoops.
They're wondering if there's a drag ball going on in this hotel, and then they get there. Then, no, it's not a drag ball.
It's a women's basketball entertainment.
Fuck yes. Fuck yes.
This is so good.
There's so many tall women.
So many tall, strong, powerful, statuesque women
Statuesque.
who can handle their shit. And they're like, they fit in,
And they're just delighted.
like physically anyway.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They're like several leagues fancier than any of these women, but they're like, hooray!
Noxima's basketball outfit.
Oh my god.
It's like Debbie Does Dallas, that fucking outfit.
It is so cute.
She's in pigtails.
So goddamn cute.
She dunks.
She dunks and then does a high kick.
And then like does the happy clap. And the other women are like, we don't celebrate like getting a point that way. She has to like stop her little clapping, but fuck, it's so cute.
Yeah, it's like, all right, girl, cool your tits. And then they lounge at this like massive indoor pool that's like got the, it's like multiple stories tall in terms of like the ceiling. So it's gorgeous in there.
I'm just imagining the humidity and feeling very, very sad for those wigs and that makeup. But
Ooh, that's true.
yeah, but Vita is congratulating Chi-Chi on getting them into the hotel. And, you know, and to the point where she's like, I think actually that's step one.
How convenient.
Yeah.
So what's step one?
Yeah. Noxima immediately states that step one is ignore adversity.
You know, honestly, the fact that Noxima just like rolls with this shit and picks up on a virtue to extol immediately.
No, wait, I'm wrong. That was step two, because step one happened as they were driving off from the whole drag princess conversation.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Chi-Chi immediately, you know, goes off on a weird version of the Litany of Wisdom. And then Noxie's like, oh, that's step one. Like, good thoughts be your sword and shield. So step one, like, good thoughts be your sword and shield. Step two, ignore adversity.
We go through another day of driving. There's that aforementioned train thing. Like, there's a whole bunch of guys in a passenger train that can hear the radio that they're blasting in the convertible, and like the whole car dances with them, which is adorable. We get to the next night. So this is night 2, where Chi-Chi is passing time by reading a steamy romance novel out loud, which is peak road trip.
Yeah, it gets better because later on we see like an over-the-shoulder shot of her reading this. This is not a novel. This is a comic book.
Which means that it is full of the most like Claremontian prose.
Oh, God. There's so much narration in this shitty, smutty comic book.
Claremontian. That's beautiful.
And then they are interrupted from what is about to be a very good sex scene in this novel by a cop car.
Hooray! They get pulled over. In what is clearly Nebraska, but Noxie doesn't know shit about states, so she's like, is this West Virginia?
There's also where like the lights go on, and I think it's Vita that's like, oh, what in gay hell.
Another phrase that I have repeated multiple times in my life.
It's so good.
So good.
And then Vita points out the obvious problem beyond the other obvious problem, which is that the name of her driver's license is Eugene.
What I love is that, like, this is a dangerous scenario for any of these 3 people to be in, but Noxima is immediately like, Eugene? Eugene.
Yeah. She cannot stop thinking about the fact that Vita's birth name is Eugene.
Eugene. It's very like, was the Grink there? Eugene.
You can tell that Vita's not going to hear the end of this for a while.
And it's also great because, like, Noxima doesn't necessarily, again, because Vita and Noxima has been friends for so long, Noxima doesn't often get the opportunity to learn brand new, embarrassing things about her friend. Eugene. So the cop pulls up. Let's describe Sheriff Dollard, shall we?
Oh, I love that his name is...
How do you describe Sheriff Dollard?
Oh.
Have you ever imagined a mashed potato?
Oh my God, I was just thinking of mashed potatoes. Yes, 100%.
Yeah!
Like uncomprehending, slow blinking, slack-jawed mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
This is America's whitest man.
Take every man with a tiny dick and a problem with that, and you've got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and put it into, like, a tub of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And then you just sort of slop that tub out on the ground and let it make its little slurpy just pile there.
And then you put a sheriff's uniform on it.
Yeah. And it is Dollard. It is dollared, but it says...
It's spelled dullard on his badge.
Yeah.
Love it.
And there's a thing, everybody calls him Dollard, and he has to keep insisting it's a typo. He deserves this.
Yeah,
so
it's he's
So
the kind of guy
good.
where when you see him pull you over and he says, "Do you know why I'm here?" Your answer is inevitably because you got all C's in high school.
Oh my God. He even has those little watery piggy eyes.
He does. He has the watery piggy eyes.
We're being unnecessarily mean to this actor. It's not his fault he's playing this character.
I mean, one of the things that is extremely cruel in Hollywood is that you do have to know your type in order to go audition for things, and you have to know what you look like and understand,
Yep.
like, this is what I look like. These are the parts I should audition for. It's horrible.
Well, here's the thing. In the same way that makeup can very much change the way a person is presented, or even just say, let's go for a classic example, Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent versus Superman, the way you hold and carry yourself and dress yourself can dramatically change how you appear as a person.
Yep.
This guy is going full cop.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that sheriff's uniform just kind of does this to him.
Yeah, like, he could look like anything else, but in the sheriff's outfit, as this character exuding this energy, he is mashed potatoes.
Stupid, like, bowling shoes that they wear. Ugh.
So he tells Vita to step out of the vehicle because she's got a tail light out.
And also, he doesn't take kindly to people driving around with a couple of racial slurs.
Yup.
Yeah, he does say that.
Yup. Not even like an illusion. He says the full-on words.
Yep. Yeah, this is definitely like, he has a hate sink immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they don't even bother with the pretense that this guy isn't terrible.
No.
No, you are just fully allowed to hate this character from step one.
Yeah.
And then he, like, doubles down on it because now you're going to get, like, some sexual assault.
Yep.
He keeps trying to kiss her, and eventually he puts a hand under her dress and is more than a little nonplussed at what he finds there.
And Vita, meanwhile, takes that opportunity to put her heel square against his chest and say, "Get your hand off my dick," and kick him back.
It's the one line in the movie where Patrick Swayze isn't doing the Vita voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. What a good choice to, like, have that moment.
Yeah, because you gotta have that full timbre in there.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So Sheriff Dullard hits the ground like a sack of potatoes.
Yes, he does.
And he is out.
He's out. He's out immediately.
And they all start panicking, especially because Noxima and Chi-Chi have just been in the car while this is happening because, well, the white person should deal with the cop.
Yep.
Yeah, them getting further involved is not going to help the situation, or at least they think so. But Noxima's freaking out because, oh great, it's a dead white cop in the middle of, like, you know, Nowheresville, America.
Like, she even says that, dead white cop, dead white cop!
Yeah. Chi-Chi, meanwhile, is like, oh, I should check if he's dead. I had an accountant die on me once like this.
Folks, I'm gonna put my foot down. Do not have Chi-Chi check for vitals.
Chi-Chi is not first aid trained.
Chi-Chi checks for a pulse, doesn't find one. We don't see exactly where she checked for a pulse, but I'm guessing it's not under any kind of major arteries.
Yeah, I don't think she checked the right spot, wherever it was.
Because she is sure that he is dead.
She says, I think this man is deceased.
And then they scramble.
At which point they all freak out.
They scramble into the car. They take off. One of them accidentally leaves his shoe behind like it's Cinderella.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I just noticed this on my latest viewing. The shoe that gets left behind is Chi-Chi's shoe. It is later played as if that it is Vita's shoe. Like, Dullard assumes that it's Vita's shoes, but it is Chi-Chi's. Because one, Vita does not wear clear pumps. And two, those are not the shoes that Vita was wearing that day.
The important thing is that, like, again, because it's clear, you can kind of make a glass slipper thing going on here.
Yes.
But it is plastic.
That
very
just makes
good.
it better.
Yeah.
So Chi-Chi.
It's Chi-Chi all over.
So there's some very Chi-Chi shoes, including the fact that the heel is far too high for her to be able to walk on, which is why she lost the shoe.
Oh, bless her heart.
Chi-Chi, you're gonna break an ankle. Girl.
Girl.
Oh, God. And they're yelling at each other about it. Vita's like, why did you leave me out there? I was out there all alone. And you stayed stuck in this car like Mary Jo Kopechne, which is another absolutely brutal line in this movie.
All right, tell me about this one.
Okay. So Mary Jo Kopechne in the 60s, she was a campaign worker for Bobby Kennedy, the Boiler Room or something like that. She was later at a party with Ted Kennedy on an island called Chappaquiddick.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God.
Ted was driving, and the car drove off a bridge and flipped into the pond. Ted got out, but Mary Jo drowned in that car, and then Ted neglected to report the incident until the next morning.
Holy shit.
Yeah, there was a whole thing.
The Kennedys kind of covered it up.
Yeah, so this is an absolutely brutal joke. However, not the most brutal Chappaquiddick joke I've ever seen, which was in National Lampoon magazine. They did a lot of fake ads for real brands. They did an ad for the Volkswagen Beetle, which had like a sealed bottom on it, so that like if it ended up in the water, it would float. So it was like a photo of a beetle floating on the water, and the caption read, Chappaquiddick wouldn't have happened if Kennedy was driving a Beetle.
Oh,
Oh
God.
my fucking God.
So, they all need to cool down, because they just killed a cop. They're 3 drag women who killed a cop, which is the dream. But they need to calm down, so they all pull over to a rest stop, walk into the bathroom with several bags, and walk out in fresh outfits.
They changed outfits.
And they feel better.
They feel much better about this.
Who wouldn't?
Meaty immediately walks out, and she's like, oh, what a lovely night. And meanwhile, Chi-Chi is just had it. This is not what she signed up for.
Yeah, I didn't think she knew that this was going to be a cop-killing road trip.
I feel like you have to prep for that one emotionally.
Yeah, she's just like, this trip fucking sucks.
All right, this blows. I'm out as soon as I find a sugar daddy to take me back to New York.
And then Vita starts trying to start the car. And there's a problem.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Lo and behold, crazy Ezekiel.
Yeah, the look on Noxie's face in particular as Vita's trying to start the car, she just cannot believe this is happening right now.
Like, I cannot stress how much this is the middle of the goddamn night. And she's like, all right, whatever. I'm out. And Vita's like, fine, I'm stripping you of all of your princess points. Chi-Chi's like, wait. You can't do that. Can you do that? Wait, hold on.
And then, of course, when the car trouble happens, Chi-Chi's like, hey, if you give me back my princess points, I can get us a ride. Noxie is quick to point out, it's the middle of the night in the middle of fucking nowhere. How are you going to get us a ride? To which Chi-Chi says the really great line, which is, I'm the Latina Marilyn Monroe. I got more legs than a bucket of chicken.
Oh, so fucking good.
That's such a good line.
And indeed, she do.
Oh, God.
She do have more legs than a bucket. John Leguizamo's legs are really good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, there is a very good reason that Chi-Chi is in all these hot pants. Great legs.
She knows what she got. So she does manage to walk up the road, see a coming truck, kind of tuck her skirt up into her stocking a little bit, and the car starts slowing down.
And inside, we meet Bobby Ray, who is a young man in a pickup truck with a cowboy hat.
He sure is.
He's a nice boy.
And he's a nice young man.
He is a nice young man.
He's a good child. And he's here to help these 3 fine ladies get over to the nearby Snydersville, which Chi-Chi is like, we're going to get a ride to Spidersville.
I don't think Chi-Chi gets it right once this entire movie.
So Bobby Ray gets all 3 of them in the truck. He says they can come back for the car later. He actually takes them to the Snydersville's mechanic, which there are like, what, 6 buildings?
Yeah, there are like 6 buildings.
You know those towns that are so small it doesn't even have a cross street?
It literally reminds me of the town I grew up in.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
They'll get the tour later, but there's like a general store. There's an old closed down movie theater. There is a mechanic.
There's a mechanic with an attached motel.
Yeah.
Like you do.
That's about it.
And then there's a couple of trailers.
There's a restaurant.
Yep. This is Snydersville. Bobby gets out of the truck and he just whistles at one of the open windows above the mechanic's garage and yells, hey, Virgil, Carol Ann.
And then we meet Carol Ann, and it's fucking Stockard Channing. Because this movie loves the gays.
God, I love her in this. I fucking love her in this.
I love her in everything, but especially this. She's so good.
She's great.
So important. So fucking important in this.
She's carrying the movie's emotional through line on her back here.
Oh, God, she's so good.
Yeah, she is grounding this movie in something real.
Mm-hmm.
And it is palpable. Stockard Channing is like, this is where it is absolutely not a Hallmark movie, even though it is still a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, this makes it more of a Lifetime movie.
Yes! This movie is the love child between a Hallmark movie and a Lifetime movie, and thank God.
You're right. You're right, it is.
You love to see it.
So Carol Ann sticks her head out the window. She yells back in, like, hey, Virgil, it's Bobby Ray. Are you in? And he's like, no. And she's like, he's in.
And then Bobby explains about the Cadillac. Then Carol Ann passes this along, and Virgil says, so? And Carol Ann's like, he'll be right down. She's so good.
It's so good. The timing in this exchange is very good.
Oh, it's so good.
So Carol Ann is going to get the girls set up in one of the motel rooms. They all want to be in the same room, while Virgil is going to go out and get their Cadillac and bring it in.
Oh, God. They get shown the room, and they're like, oh, God, because it's a dump.
I love this part so much.
And Vita's even like, do you have, like, a better room? To which Carol Ann's like, this is the presidential suite, in a tone that suggests that she also knows that name is bullshit, but this is genuinely the best that they have.
Oh, yeah. And then Chi-Chi's like, oh, it must have been one of the bad presidents.
And then Carol Ann leaves, and we get another absolutely brutal joke, this time from Noxzema. She says, you know what I think? I think the last black person to stay here was Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was a black singer who was shot and killed by a motel owner.
Boy, howdy.
Oof.
Oh, it's one of those jokes that's so horrible that the laugh just kind of gets shocked out of you.
Boy. So the next morning, they decide that they're going to try to make the best of it. I think Vita is like, I think this is going to be a say something hat day. Do you think this is a say something hat day?
Oh my God.
And oh boy, does she have a say something hat.
Yeah, so they're going to spend most of the rest of the day in these outfits. Can we talk about these outfits?
I do quickly just want to talk about first, I like the way that this movie does reference jokes, and I think the Sam Cooke joke is a good time to talk about that, which is, you see a lot of movies, especially now, where the humor relies a lot on, like, pop culture references, but a lot of the references are, like, context-free. Like, every character is drawing from the same bank of pop culture knowledge, which is the screenwriter's pop culture knowledge, whereas when the queens in this movie make reference jokes, they are all each based on each character's background and interests. So, like, you know, Vita's from Wasp Central. She knows the Kennedys. She's into classic movies starring fabulous women. Noxzema's also into movies, but she's also really into music. In fact, she's really knowledgeable about the arts in general, and she's really into Black history, and all of her jokes are based on that. And Chi-Chi makes references based entirely on her smutty comic books and the men she's known as a sex worker. And it's just really, it's good character writing. And I wish more screenwriters would watch this movie and understand what's good about it. Anyway, say something hat day.
Say something hat day. So Vita is, speaking of waspy, Vita looks like she's going to, like, a country club luncheon.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that, like, Coco Chanel style outfit with, like, the stripes, the little buttons, the pockets.
The hat is so big. It's so big, you guys.
It's, like, kind of a mesh hat, too, so the brim doesn't take up the whole shot. But it says something. Chi-Chi's in this, like, flimsy little sundress. It's the kind of sundress you get railed in, which, good for her.
We respect you, Chi-Chi, very much.
We really do. Noxzema, I believe, is in kind of like a onesie that's like a big multicolored onesie. She's got, like, her hair's up in kind of like a really tall ponytail.
I do think that Noxie is wearing, like, something with a skirt, just because, like, when you see her walk later in the movie, her gait is, she's wearing, like, a really tight skirt, so her steps are, like, very close together.
Oh, yeah,
as a
that's
result,
right, yeah.
Which is why she can't catch up with Clara during that scene. But she's got, like, she's doing that 90s thing where she's wearing, like, a spaghetti strap dress over a t-shirt. And then she's got, like, just a really good hat to go along with it. I need that hat.
The ladies step out, their fancy outfits. Most of the town is in faded denim and shirts. And the town's all here.
The whole town, which is, let's be fair, less than a dozen people.
Again, reminding me of where I grew up.
Yeah. I think this cast maxes out at about 20. maybe 30.
If you eliminate all the drag queen cameos, we're well under 20.
Yeah. So they're all here gathered around the Cadillac because they've heard about the weird shit that happened last night. Virgil is there, just elbows deep in the caddy. And he's like, okay, great. This is only going to take you, couple hours as soon as I get the part.
He has no Cadillac parts.
Especially not an old vintage Cadillac. So he's like, all right, I can have it done by Monday when they deliver me the part, but you gotta wait. And this is the thing. This is where it becomes like kind of the Hallmark movie is they have to wait in this tiny town. What's gonna happen?
Well, the implication this time around is that what's going to happen is a hate crime.
We kind of get eyed by the entire town here, which is mostly a bunch of middle-aged folk. There's about 5 guys in their late teens, early 20s who all just kind of move as a unit.
Yeah, I'm not sure many of them have names. Like, one of them gets names because Noxie asks it, but I'm not sure the rest of them have names. They're just kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, they're kind of just a group of thugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, vaguely menacing dudes.
Yeah, just a bunch of vaguely menacing white guys who just kind of leer and get in your personal space.
Yep. Alongside that, though, Blythe Danner's here, you guys.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because Vita is just like, hello, everyone. Hello, ladies. Can you direct me towards some local sites, some points of historic interest?
And Blythe Danner's character, whose name is just escaping me at this moment, but she's the one who runs the restaurant.
Oh.
Shoot.
Hang on, IMDb. Beatrice. Beatrice is Blythe Danner's character. Beatrice is just like, yeah, we got nothing.
But she does have a lot of gossip.
Yes. She's just hanging around next to, like, their windows at the motel, pointing out various people in the town and just mentioning, like, everything she knows about them, all their dirty laundry, like,
All the gossip.
oh, she and her husband haven't had sex for 7 years. Oh, she's been drinking since she was 13. That's Jimmy Joe. He runs the restaurant for me. He's really nice, and I obviously have a huge crush on him.
That old lady that just kind of stares, oh, we're not even sure if she can hear or speak. She hasn't said a word since her husband left her. She and her husband used to run the movie theater, and her husband left to elope with his film distributor. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on with that. But as this woman, Clara, is walking past, she's carrying a big folder of stuff, and something falls out of the folder. And Noxema's immediately like, oh, I should go pick that up and give it back to her. So she goes and picks it up, and it's a picture of...
It's just an actor.
Yeah, I know, but it's a specific actor. Anyway, she picks it up. She recognizes the actor. And then she goes, yoo-hoo, you dropped this, and starts trying to chase after Clara. And Clara starts running away and then bangs a Yui. And that comes back around the other way.
She's even like, oh no, girl, you just bang a Yui.
And she just keeps following her.
Because this is like an old lady shuffling with a big folder while Noxema is in this tight skirt and doesn't really have a very long stride. So it's the slow speed chase.
Yeah.
At some point, Noxema is just like fully aware how ridiculous she's just like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, she's walking on gravel in heels. She is not moving very fast.
I love that scene.
I really like that scene.
It's so nice to see a low speed chase and a low speed chase on foot.
It's so good. And there's a point where she like trips and rolls her ankle. She's like, okay, I don't think this is funny anymore.
And we also see them acclimating at some point, like they do a huge makeover on their room to the Wonder Woman theme, like the TV show.
Oh.
Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman.
Oh, it's good.
I love that moment.
And then they also do like the I Dream of Jeannie, like arm, nod. At one point, they even do the Bewitched, like nose twitch.
Oh.
To turn a lamp on.
Yeah.
The rules of reality in this scene are stretched.
It's really cute. They even like shoot a few things in reverse so it looks like they throw something onto a wall and it instantly comes into place.
Yeah, like fully like arranged as a curtain.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it every time I ever decorate. Anytime.
Oh my god, right?
I know. I put a scarf on something and I'm like, that scene though.
I too am a Wonder Woman.
Yes!
Like the whole town just sort of peers in. It's very cute. We're also going to cut back and forth to Sheriff Dollard, who is not dead, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did not kill a cop in this movie. He was instead just knocked out, which is still very bad for his brain, but
Not bad enough.
a couple of cops drag him up and they're like, what happened to you? And he's like, I was attacked.
Which is very much in the same energy as, like, someone definitely wrote a mean thing on my coffee cup about a pig that I didn't write myself. Cops have always been like this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll cut at some point to Sheriff Dollard at a hearing with some of the other cops who are like, okay, let us get this report straight. You got beat up by girls?
Yes. It's so good.
Dollard tries to be, no. They were dressed up like girls. And they're like, and they even like gesture to the shoe. And it's like, with this? You got beat up with this?
Yeah, he even makes a point of like saying, and one of them was black, which is like the most like cop desperately trying to cover his tracks shit I've ever heard.
Oh my God, right? They just laugh at him, and Dollard vows revenge and says he is going to kill these drag queens, which, God, what year is it? What year is it?
This movie turns 20 years old next year.
Oh my God, cops have always been like this.
Mm-hmm. That's the point of them.
Yep. So anyway, we'll come back to Dollard later, and oh, I have such a thing to say about Sheriff Dollard later. But in the meantime, we're going to cut back to Chi-Chi, who's taking a nice little walk in this railable sundress.
Mm-hmm.
She mentions she was one of those fresh air kids that take these kids from poor backgrounds out to the countryside for picnics and stuff. She doesn't get to finish that story, but I like this character detail about Chi-Chi.
And she is getting ogled again and then creeped upon by the 5 creepy guys.
Yeah.
All the Levy boys just kind of show up.
Like, honestly,
There's a distinct air of sexual menace in this scene.
yeah, this scene is played so well as like a very clear and present threat. It feels very real of
Yeah.
like, oh, here's one guy who's in my space. Oh, here's another. Oh, here's more of them. Oh.
Yeah.
And like, John Leguizamo is just displaying this absolute tension here. Like, Chi-Chi is very clearly terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can tell also from the way she's reacting that this is not the first time she's been in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's very much trying to muster some bravado out of this to try and sort of make it into a thing that could be okay, but it's not gonna be. And just as they close in on her, Bobby Ray peels in on his truck.
Yeah.
Knight in shining pickup truck.
Honks his horn, holds out his hand for Chi-Chi, and she dashes into the car while the creeps are momentarily surprised.
So good.
It's a very heroic moment for Bobby Ray.
Yes, he's a very good boy. And then we cut back, we check in to see what Vita's doing, and Vita is walking into the kitchen as Carol Ann is crying over the stove.
Oh my God.
And she tries to say she was just chopping onions.
But unfortunately, onions don't give you a shiner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's got a real bad bruise. And it's like, oh no, some boxes dropped. And Vita is very clearly like, Vita knows what's happening and is politely going to go along with this fiction for now.
She does also, like, taste the stew, and she's like, oh, this is boring. So she starts to put a little bit of paprika in it, and unfortunately this is a problem because Virgil doesn't like it.
Yeah, Virgil is not actually Jonathan Harker, noted paprika enthusiast.
Hey, this paprika really fucked up my dreams. What should I do? More paprika for breakfast.
I need to get this paprika recipe and just start shipping whole boxes of paprika to my lovely fiancé. Virgil does not like spices. We do not use spices here, which makes me question why the spice rack is directly above the stove, but...
Yeah, why do you have those?
Honestly, it's another thing that reminds me of home.
Yeah.
No spices allowed.
My mom still has a massive drawer full of spices that were almost never touched.
Oh no!
Just for bragging rights, or?
I don't know. I never understood the purpose of the spice drawer that was never touched.
You know most of those are going to have been expired.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they definitely were. Bless her.
Anyway, Carol Ann starts scooping expired paprika out of her stew.
And Vita gets that same look in her eye that she got when she saw Chi-Chi crying.
Uh-huh.
That same expression that says, I am about to make this my problem.
Which is like her favorite thing to do.
Vita is incapable of picking her battles.
Yeah, it is her absolute favorite thing to do, yes.
Vita's like, I will die on any hill.
Vita marches around looking for hills to die on. Vita is a crusader of justice, and I love her.
As she's leaving, she remarks, "Oh yeah, that line about the boxes falling on you, that's pretty good. I used to tell people when my father called me cruel names, it was just because of his sense of humor."
And I love that we had that earlier scene of seeing and then subsequently being rejected by her mother to really, really make this one just hit even harder. Vita.
I love how matter of fact she is as well. How like unflinchingly like, yeah, of course, this is what life is like.
Yeah, I really enjoy the fact that Vita is sympathetic, but she also is immediately like, I understand this. I know how this feels.
Yeah, there's like zero pity.
She's not even like, she's sympathetic, but moreover, her feeling is, I am going to kill your husband.
Say the word and I will kill your husband for you.
Yeah, I am going to politely wait for a little for you to tell me to kill your husband, and then I will kill your husband. From this scene on, she has basically just taken it upon herself to be Carol Ann's new best friend.
I mean, who the fuck wouldn't, Stalker Jim?
Oh my god.
From either direction, really.
Can you imagine Vita Bohème marching into your life and saying, who has wronged you?
Fuck.
I will destroy them.
Please.
So back to Noxima.
Who has finally caught up with Clara.
The way that this movie is cut during this sequence feels a little like it's kind of hard to tell how much time has passed each time, especially since we intercut with Dollard too. But like, I like the implication that, I mean, you can see the porch that Noxima started on in the background of this shot. I love the implication that it has taken her a very long time to get over here to this porch.
I suspect these scenes were not in this order in the screenplay. This is one of those things that happened in the edit to, like, you know, make the movie move faster or feel like it was moving faster.
Yeah. Like, there's definitely some time stuff in here that's not quite matching up. But the idea that this movie is implying that Noxima has been like maybe about a half hour before she finally got back over to this porch.
Listen, that skirt is very tight and those shoes are very high.
Clara has sat down on her porch in a little rocking chair. Noxima takes it upon herself to sit down next to her and hand back her photo and looks over her shoulder into the house behind her and sees all these old classic movie posters and stuff. It looks great in there, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, Noxima's in love immediately.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be?
She's like, finally, someone who knows culture.
Yeah. She's like, hello, I am your new best friend now.
I love that everyone's just adopting people.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff.
Well, and it's a good part of this sort of like fish out of water, like big person in a small town movie where like you have them sort of latch onto an anchor character in the town. And so sort of the ways in which these characters affect each other can ripple out from there.
And it's also a very drag thing, because anytime I've ever gone to any drag show or behind the scenes drag show, they will adopt you and take care of you.
Like drunk girl in a bathroom energy?
Yes, every drag queen has drunk girl and a bathroom energy. Yeah.
Families of choice at any moment.
Oh my gosh. That sounds wondrous.
It's amazing.
I know.
Annie, you need to go to more drag shows. They're great.
Apparently.
I know a place, Annie.
I want to be adopted by several powerful people.
Yeah.
I know a place, Annie. Let's go to Julius.
Fuck yeah, let's go. We cut back to Chi-Chi and Bobby Ray. And Bobby Ray is a huge sweetheart. Oh my goodness.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. He's just so smitten with Chi-Chi instantly.
And Chi-Chi is so smitten with him instantly.
Oh my gosh. I mean, who would not be? This adorable little child. He's so good.
Yeah, she even uses the phrase knight in shining pickup truck. She compares it to her comic books, her smutty comics.
Yeah, because the thing is, Chi-Chi is an absolute romantic at heart. She wants to be swept off her feet by a dashing young man. And Bobby's making a pretty good show of it. He actually even found a vintage Coke ad billboard that uses the tagline, "Love that Coke," with like this fun pinup model, like just a very classic kind of thing. Except he scratched out Coke and now it says, "Love that Chi-Chi."
Oh my fucking god.
And Chi-Chi thinks this is the most romantic gesture ever, which is the girl get a single solitary standard. I'm pleased for me.
Oh, okay. There's even a point where Bobby Ray does the thing where, like, he reaches out to hold her hand, but he's too shy and pulls his hand back.
Oh my fucking god.
I love that shit.
Like Chi-Chi, I will admit he's cute, and this is cute. This is not their most romantic thing in the world.
But Chi-Chi needs that scrap of affection. Because he is like over the moon about this pretty girl.
Oh yeah, he's very earnest about this whole thing.
They take a walk while holding hands. Oh my god.
There's not a single ulterior motive here.
No. Vera continues to meddle back in town. She meets Bobby Lee, who is, these names are going to get confusing after a while.
yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
They're also confusing in character, where Vita will get like, "You're Bobby Ray?" And he goes, "No, Joe." "Okay, Joe?" "No, Bobby Joe." Oh.
But Bobby Lee is Carol Ann's eldest daughter.
She's probably about 12 or 13, I'd say.
Yep, maybe around 15.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
yeah.
15.
She asks Vita, "How can you tell?" And Vita's like, "Well, I was the oldest in my family." And I was like, oh, that explains a lot.
I know,
Oh
God.
my God,
I
yeah.
felt it so powerfully whenever she said that. Like, what do you mean? Obviously, I would know. Like, eldest child energy, especially whenever you're the feminine one. And it's like, oh God, oh, trauma. Okay.
Yeah, eldest daughter energy, aka the third parent.
Yes.
Yup. Oh, and they're like, we see them in the background. None of the other kids really get any kind of spotlight here, but there's like, I think there's at least 2 or 3 kids, maybe 4.
There is an indeterminate number of children in this family.
Like you do.
More just kind of keep showing up as needed.
Again, of which Bobby Lee is the oldest. She's enchanted. She's like, "Oh, you're so smart and wise." I mean, that makes sense with what Bobby Ray said. He told us what you really are. And Vita's like, "Oh, did he?" She's being very neutral here.
Mhm.
And Bobby Lee's like, "Yeah, you're a career girl." And so Vita starts giving her life advice about, like, basically the secreting things out into the universe, but it's fine. But she's like, just envision something and then do your best to make it happen. And she's like, "What if I want to make a boy happen?" And she's like, "Let's set your sights a little higher."
I know. So good. So good.
We can start with the boy, however.
It's very like, okay, but
You have other options.
we cut back to Noxima. She and Clara have moved out to outside the closed down movie theater, which is like this one house thing. Oh, it even had a marquee.
It's a really good, cute little theater, and it's just decrepit.
Oh yeah, like everything in this town has been like blown out by the desert, the wind, everything's like all the paint's peeling everywhere, and this building is just also just all faded out and washed out.
The Dust Bowl never ended in this town.
Yeah. Big grapes of wrath energy.
Yup.
Yeah, later on, Noxima even makes a joke that's like, "Who's their decorator, Ma Joe?"
Noxima decides that she very much likes Clara because Clara is not going to interrupt her while she is talking about movies.
She starts talking about how her plan, when she gets to Hollywood, is she's going to get discovered. Her plan is to get discovered by a Hollywood producer so she can star in a lush movie about the lifetime of Miss Dorothy Dandridge, who she refers to as a blacktress, which is just a great word, who never played domestic help and was crushed by the Hollywood machine. And then she starts listing off Dorothy Dandridge's movies. She gets to a point in the list and she's like, "Shit, I'm missing one." And then Clara just says the name of the movie.
And what I like is that Clara has not really made eye contact at all, like, in this movie thus far. She has just stared ahead in kind of an unfocused way. She's kept her head down. So she's just sort of looking forward into the distance while Noxima's talking, and she just says the name of this movie, and Noxima keeps going, and then is like, whoa, wait.
Did you talk?
And then carefully keeps going and starts the movies over.
I love it.
Gets to another blank spot. I think this one's on purpose.
Yeah.
And then Clara jumps in.
Uh-huh.
And then jumps in with a few more. And Noxima just looks at her delighted. And Clara finally looks at Noxie and says, "You want to try Lena Horne?" It's so good.
It's so cute. And like, I love this. I love that Clara has just needed someone to speak in her language.
Yes.
She just needed someone to reach out and love something the way she clearly loves it and be understood and not be afraid of handling her delicately or looking at her askance, because Noxima is just been perfectly friendly to her and not been like treated her like a charity case.
Yeah, like Noxima's attitude to socialization is, I'm going to sit next to you and talk at you, and whether you listen is kind of your business.
Yeah.
But you get the feeling that Clara, the thing that like was really like horrific about that whole experience wasn't necessarily her husband leaving, but the fact that the theater went out of business, that she lost the theater.
And it took the distributor with it. It basically cut Clara off from her passion and made it something that was associated with a really awful thing that happened. And now here's Noxima.
Now here's Noxima. And she loves movies so much. And music and like all of the stuff that Clara's into.
It's just, Vita is probably my favorite of the three principals, but the Noxima-Clara relationship is my favorite, like, connection in this movie. Also, we do cut back briefly to Virgil and Carol Ann. There's spices in the stew and he hates spices. And he threatens her, he almost hits her, and she flinches back, and it is a rough thing to look at.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is unflinching. He throws the stew against the wall.
Mm-hmm. And he even does that thing. It's like, oh, you're doing this on purpose to make me angry.
Yeah. It is definitely something that's like, the temptation, I think, for a lot of writers is to, like, amp up the cruelty to the point where it's almost cartoonish.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a very just straightforward level of this guy is an asshole and he treats people terribly, including his wife.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, less of an asshole is Sheriff Dollard, who has decided to make it his mission to catch these drag queens.
He's making a list of where to find homos.
He has made a list.
Fuck.
We are going to go through this item by item. Places for homos.
I die every time I see this. And I'm always like, he's not wrong. It's not an inaccurate list.
It's not an
Okay.
inaccurate list, is the thing.
Listen, okay. Flower shops.
Uh,
Flower shops.
Ballet schools. Flight attendant lounges.
It's like a man who knows 3 things trying to figure something out. It's incredible.
Restaurants for brunch.
He's just not wrong.
Antique shops.
I think it's
Jesus
restaurants
Christ.
for brunch that broke me of this list.
Same. It's the fact that it's not just like restaurants specifically to go to brunch.
This is a very homophobic list written by a very gay person. It's great.
Yes. Yeah, this is written by a gay man saying, where do we love going? Where are we going to be found? Places for homos. What a list. What a good list.
And he starts going through all of these places and crossing things off the list.
Yeah, we're going to keep cutting back to Sheriff Dollard for a while in the rest of Act 2, just doing a montage of, like, occasionally checking in on all of these different places, finding flower shops, holding up a police sketch of Vita to a little boy in a ballet school. He even, at some point, does, like, a check, like a road check, where cars have to proceed individually so he can hold up this photo and see if they look like Patrick Swayze. Restaurants
For brunch.
for brunch is a place for homos.
They're not wrong.
Indeed.
They're not
Indeed.
wrong.
It's not an incorrect list.
No.
Whomst among us does not love a brioche French toast?
Right.
I live in the area near Snohomish, Washington, one of the large antique capitals of Washington state. There's a lot of gays there.
There's just times of the year where you're awash with homosexuals.
Yeah.
It happens.
Flight attendant lounges.
How does he plan to get into a flight attendant lounge is my question.
That is an excellent question. We unfortunately never see him break into a flight attendant lounge, which is good. The flight attendants work very hard. They need their
They
peace
do.
and quiet.
God, they do.
I remember I was on a flight with my dad, and one of the flight attendants was a guy named Johnny, and my dad turns to me and said, if you're a grown man calling yourself Johnny, you're either gay or a hockey player. Or both.
Or both. Both is good.
I feel like not incorrect.
That's not a false statement of his, but it's one of those jokes for like, Dad, you can't say that while other people besides me are here.
It requires a specific audience.
Yeah, I know you don't mean anything by it.
Okay. So,
I know you're pro-gay and pro-hockey player.
You very much like both of those things, but
You're not hockeyist.
Hockeyist.
So now that all three of our characters have kind of met their person, it is time for them to start coming together. And that is going to happen because Vita cannot stop getting involved in things.
She just can't.
Vita is the definition of... I'm going to say nosy biddy, even though Vita is not a biddy in any sense of the word.
I was going to say meddling bitch.
Oh, meddling bitch works, yeah.
Also, like, Vita's role in life is to live in, like, a picturesque small town and who keeps, like, investigating murders because she's a nosy bitch.
Yeah.
That is her calling in life.
Vita is like maybe about 40 to 50 years away from being Miss Marple. From knowing everybody's goddamn business and just solving elaborate murders just by hearing about them from her relatives.
TBH, the best To Wong Foo 2 would be if all three of these people came back as... I know. But imagine, in an alternate reality, where all three came back as...
Where sequels didn't automatically suck.
With drag queen biddies solving crimes.
An alternate universe where Patrick Swayze is not very dead.
Yeah.
That would be very good.
Yes.
At the very least, you could get Wesley Snipes back on account of he owes people a lot of money because of the aforementioned tax evasion.
Yes.
There are just a lot of, like, mid-tier Japanese action movies that he's in that are just fine.
Okay. And again, Chi-Chi is now played by a trans actress.
Yes.
But John Leguizamo,
John Leguizamo takes over Patrick Swayze.
plays her husband, maybe?
Takes over Patrick Swayze's role.
Anyway, okay. No, I can't live here anymore. I'm starting to think about elaborate little mysteries.
We can't live in this space. Not for this episode is already quite long.
The case of the missing wig.
Oh no. Oh goddamn. No, I can't. Strawberry Social.
The Strawberry Social. Yeah, Beatrice is explaining this as everyone sits down to hear about this. It's just basically, oh yeah, one day a year, we all make strawberry pies, and then we take them into the center of town, and then we eat the pies.
And then we go home.
And they're like, oh, is that it? And someone's like, well, there used to be a hollering contest, but some people don't like that.
Fuck.
Oh, you know this was a knockdown, drag-out fight at some point.
The hollering contest is basically where somebody hollers for a husband, and the husband who comes fastest, they win, right?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I thought it was just like, you good at hollering.
I'm pretty sure that's what a hollering contest is.
That is unfucking believable. Wow.
Annie, you're from Indiana. I'm going to defer to your judgment on this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Mackenzie, the hollering contest, that sound familiar to you?
The hollering contest I always knew was someone would get out and, like, shout something to somebody. Most often, to me, it was, like, somebody, like a teacher shouting, everybody sit down and shut up. And whoever reacted, like, the furthest out was the winner.
Oh, here we go. NCpedia from the Encyclopedia North Carolina. The Hollering Contest is an annual fair established in Spivey's Corner in 1969, celebrates the art of hollering, which before the telephone was an essential mean of communicating for people in rural areas in North Carolina.
I like how your accent changed during that explanation.
Unbelievable.
Okay, look. Listen.
It was very good.
Listen.
The main goal of Spivey's Corner Hollering Contest continues to be to keep the art of hollering alive.
The art of hollering.
It's very important. Keep the act of hollering alive.
Keep the spirit of hollering alive, all year round.
Keep the spirit of hollering in your heart. Okay. So Vita is like, I see an opportunity here. What's our theme? They're like, what the?
This party needs a theme.
They're like, what the hell is a theme? And you can just see Noxema just like rolling her eyes like, oh, God damn it, we're getting involved in something again.
Yeah, Noxema knows exactly like what needs to be said at what moment at any point during this conversation, but she doesn't want to be in a situation.
Yeah. So they start talking about, okay, so what are strawberries? They're red. Okay, and there are
they're wild strawberries.
Wild strawberries?
Oh my God.
That's it.
Yeah, and at which point Noxie jumps in and goes, red and wild, that's your fucking theme. She's so done with this conversation.
She just sounds so impatient. Vita is perfectly willing to let them sort it out themselves, and Noxima's like, I am getting this conversation over with as soon as possible. I'm like, great. Red and Wild is our theme for the Strawberry Social. Now let's have a day with the girls.
Oh, yes.
They're like, what is a day with the girls?
And the woman who we later find out runs the beauty parlor is like, oh, it's a thing in New York high society. You go do volunteer work, and then you go and get your hair done, and then you pick out a new outfit.
Like, I've always wanted to have a day with the girls. And Vera's like, you run the beauty parlor, you say? And Noxima is just staring. Like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, Noxima is seeing the direction this is taking and knows she is helpless to stop it.
Vita is a force of nature, okay? God, doesn't she describe herself as like Vita Bohème of the Manhattan Bohèmes at some point?
Yes.
Oh, God, yes.
I think so.
Yes.
She is so much. Noxima must have had so much, like, infinite patience in the early days of their friendship. Because she is definitely on her last leg now.
So they all get their hair and makeup did. They get little makeovers, and I love it because it's all these women in town who just get to feel nice about themselves. They get to do something nice for themselves that's not utilitarian. They just get a nice haircut. They put some makeup on.
There's a scene where they're all sitting under, like, the hair dryers, like the kind that they put over your head.
Oh, yeah.
The three of them are just sitting next to each other, holding each other's hands really, really tightly.
Yeah.
Like they need the emotional support to get through this experience.
Because, like, these are people who are used to just not doing anything that is non-utilitarian, just wearing just the easiest thing, doing the simplest thing for your hair, not using any makeup or anything, and they just get to feel pretty. And it's nice. I'm happy for them.
I was thinking about the fact that, like, it's really neat that these actresses, for the most part, are, like, older and not, you know, they're not, like...
Yeah.
If we made this today, they would be like, oh, these are hot people that they put in unhot situations.
Yeah.
So that way, like, instead of just
They're just,
regular
like,
ass people.
Very regular ass people, which is awesome.
Yes.
Last weekend, I went and watched Mean Girls and Mean Girls, the new musical remake, back to back.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't recommend doing.
You didn't want to do a palate cleanser of Mean Girls 2?
I don't think that would have been an improvement.
It's not.
But one of the things I noticed about the new Mean Girls is that, like, you know, 2004 Mean Girls had a lot of the background actors. Like, you know, it's a movie with Lindsay Lohan and Rachel McAdams and such.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, it takes place in a high school, and a lot of the kids in the background are just kind of normal looking. And then you watch the new Mean Girls, and, like, you know, everyone in that movie is Instagram hot.
Ugh.
Like, hot in the blandest possible way.
And so many of them have to be, like, dancers and performers and stuff, too.
Yeah.
Tedious.
But everybody here in town, in Spidersville, they're just extremely normal, and they get to feel pretty. And then those 5 creeps are back that wolf whistle at them. And I think Vita's even like, God, it's like living in a Tex Avery cartoon.
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything. Daddy, you better get the best for me. Hey, Daddy.
And so Noxie's had enough, finally.
Oh my God. This is great.
She walks over, and of course she's getting catcalled the whole way. She does not care. She has heard worse. She lives in New York. She gets up to them. She says, oh, those are my friends. I would think you should apologize to them. To which the guys are just like, no, I'm not apologizing to no lady. And then Noxie holds up her hand, says, do you like my nails? And then just grabs him by the junk.
So good.
She's got him by the balls, and her grip is very tight. She is able to, like, drag him across the way.
Oh my God.
By her grip on his nuts. And she's like, oh, by the way, what's your name? And he's like, Tommy. And she's like, Tommy.
Tommy.
She introduces the ladies around, and then she says, now, when you meet such a ravishing group of ladies, the appropriate thing to say to them is, good afternoon, ladies. And then she makes him say it. And she says, unless it's evening, in which case you should say, and she grabs his nuts tighter, and he goes, good evening, ladies. And it's just so good.
It is. It's incredible.
God, it's amazing. Because she's cool as a cucumber throughout this. Just so polite.
Yeah, and then at the end of this conversation, she's like, by the way, put on a clean shirt when you walk out your door. It is an affront to the very delicacy of my nature.
Fuck Yes.
And then she just like lets go and is like, Miss Clara, and takes her arm, and then they just go flouncing down the street.
At one point, Vita's like, what can I say? She's had a hard life, which I feel like is an understatement, Vita.
Oh my god. No, this is like Noxima's finest hour, frankly.
Oh god. This entire moment, it just encapsulates her perfection as a character, really.
Mm-hmm. And then they're like, okay, well, we've done all the other things for having a day with the girls. I would say that grabbing this creep by the scrotum is probably community service.
Let's go pick out some outfits.
Yeah.
Love this part.
Oh, so we go to the one store. It's just the general store. The clothes that it has, it's just an array of, just denim, just shirts, jean jackets, jeans. Nothing fancy.
It's all very blue collar.
Literally.
Yeah. The guy running the place is like this young guy with a stutter. This is what's great about the way like Vita in particular interacts with this guy. At no point does she interrupt and say the word that he's clearly trying to say. She just waits.
Yeah. I love that.
I love it.
She just listens to him attentively. It's awesome.
Meanwhile, Noxie has gone up to the attic.
Oh, wait, that's not the rest of the store. It's just a bunch of stuff that we haven't taken to Goodwill yet. And then Noxima shrieks.
Yes.
And you're like, oh no, what happened to Noxie? And then it's just, I found these clothes!
Fancy dresses from the 1960s. And oh my god, are these clothes from the 1960s?
They're so from the 60s.
They're so good.
At one point, Noxie is like, oh, Clara, we're going to get you done up like Emma Peel, who's the lady from the Avengers. That's the joke. It's a good joke.
And we get this cute little thing where all of the women in town get to walk out of the shop. They're playing music. It's clearly diegetic. You can hear it from the street. And they all get to like walk out in these fancy outfits and just sort of like present themselves, do a little dance. They all feel amazing.
Meanwhile, Vita is giving the guy who runs the store a copy of Diana Vreeland's autobiography because she has taken one look at this man and gone, a baby gay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, I am also going to adopt you, but I can't really give you my full attention now, so let this do it for me.
Yeah. You should commit entire sections of this book to memory. It is your new Bible.
And I love that she's just like clearly carries this in her purse. It is this like beaten up paperback. It is very clearly having been read over and over again. Whoever like worked on this prop for this, like either found like a very beaten up copy in a used store or has distressed this in exactly the right way.
Yeah, it's got those multiple creases on the spine.
Mm-hmm. While all of the women are coming out of the shop, we keep cutting back to Carol Ann, who is like a princess in a tower.
Yes.
In this scene, she's on the second floor in the apartment, stuck in the kitchen, looking out the window. Oh, she starts like laughing for joy and clapping at seeing all of her friends have so much fun and feel so good about themselves.
Yeah, and unfortunately Virgil sees her doing this.
Which cannot be allowed.
And he makes fun of her. He just mocks her.
Ugh.
And he's awful.
Played by an actor who I believe is known for playing awful people and does an amazing job of it. Like, cannot stress enough. He's amazing at being awful.
He's a career actor as a creep.
Yeah, you know how every time a movie needs an evil white British guy, Charles Dance is like, I'm fucking on it?
Yeah.
There's just a signal in the sky. I'm needed. I must go.
Oh, Carol Ann, like, again, like, she really is, like, trapped. Never in any other scene in this movie does she seem more trapped than she is, as she just glimpses out the window of, like, the rest of the town having a nice time. It breaks my heart.
Especially because it's Stockard Channing, and Stockard Channing is so goddamn good.
Oh, God, she's so good.
We have this cute little scene where Noxima and Clara are back at her apartment. Clara, by the way, is dressed up like a hippie, like this fashion hippie. She looks great.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, it's terrific. She's got a headband and everything. And Noxie is going through her record collection. And she's like, why is all this gathering dust? Your taste in music fucks. So she puts on an Eartha Kitt record.
And she just climbs back out the window because that's the way anyone enters and leaves in these sorts of house designs. She just holds out her arms like, come on, dance with me. And she and Clara just dance on the porch and it's so cute.
It's so cute.
We cut back to the guy with the stutter in the shop who is reading the autobiography aloud with rapt attention and no tick in his voice at all.
Yeah, no, his stutter is gone while he's reading this book.
It's beautiful.
He's not only reading it, he's very clearly feeling everything he's reading.
Yes.
Yeah, he is tasting those words. He's rolling them around in his mouth. We also cut back to Chi-Chi and Bobby Ray are finally back in the movie. They meet up outside some of the tables in the restaurant with Vita and Bobby Lee. And they talk about having crushes.
Yep. Bobby Lee and Chi-Chi both talk about how they have a secret love. And unfortunately, it is the same man.
Low standards, but it is cute.
And Vita can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Vita can tell.
I mean, at least for Bobby Lee, there is one boy in town who is not a creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Also, there is a point while everybody's looking fancy earlier that the creeps do come out. The lead one is in a new shirt. And he does say, "Good afternoon, ladies."
Growth.
Yep.
Otherwise, Noxema will have his dick.
Yeah, I mean, there is a note of terror in his demeanor, but clearly he has learned a lesson.
Good for her. Good job, Maxine.
Vita has put two and two together and realizes that Bobby Lee is also crushing on Bobby Ray, and she's like, oh no, this is untenable. I need to fix this.
This is a problem.
Speaking of problems, we cut back to Carol Ann, who is cleaning up the mess where Virgil threw the stew and is crying. And Vita's like, girl, do you ever not cry in this room?
Yeah, like, she is so done with this. Like, there's sympathy in her voice, but also she's like, it is so miserable that you are actually kind of ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
She's like, you do not need this at all.
You can get away from this.
Yeah, you can live a different life.
You don't need this crap.
Which is, again, Vita is great. Vita is the friend that you want, who is, like, sympathetic, vengeful, will also help you realize that you have had enough.
Yep. Just the conversation of, like, you're better than this, and the fact that you're better than this, and it's still happening is pissing me off.
Yeah.
So we cut to that evening in this. I love the way that this scene is set up of, like, everybody is out on the porch. All three of the drag queens have changed into these, like, beautiful white outfits. They look angelic.
Yeah. Yeah, these, like, before bed outfits.
Like you do.
Yeah. Carol Ann is out on the porch with all of her kids, including Bobby Lee, and they're just chatting. They're enjoying the nice evening breeze. And here comes Bobby Ray in a suit.
He's got a suit on.
Oh, he's got flowers.
And he comes over and says, I come to ask someone out to the sociable, and everyone says, I do declare, except for Noxie, who says, I decline.
Bobby Ray is like, Bobby Lee? Yes? Can you take the little ones inside so I can talk to Miss Chi-Chi alone?
Fuck.
Oh, God, it's so devastating.
Fuck.
Bobby Ray, that is brutal.
Oh, it's so mean.
He doesn't even know. He doesn't even realize how, like, devastating that is.
Oh.
The pain.
So Bobby Lee, of course, cries and runs away.
Yeah.
Because
course.
why wouldn't she?
Why wouldn't she?
Chi-Chi, to her credit, is like, come back in an hour. Just come back in an hour. It's fine. Just come back later. They go back to the room. They start changing. And Vito's instantly like, you cannot go out with Bobby Ray. I am putting my foot down on this.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you've got Noxie off in the corner, who on the one hand does not want to be involved, but on the other hand wants to know 110% of what is happening. She's just dropping these little comments in here and there.
And her eyes are like going back and forth on this like she's at a tennis match.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, like, Vita's main concern with Chi-Chi is that she is horning in on somebody else's, like, adorable childhood crush. And meanwhile, Noxema is very rightfully pointing out that you have not told this man about the downstairs situation, which is going to be an awkward conversation at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, this is a twofold situation. It is one thing to say, like, you are transient in this town. We are only passing through, and this little girl has nobody else to crush on. Also, like, you could be in very real danger if he reacts poorly to the fact that you are not a cis woman.
Yeah.
And Chi-Chi does not take that very well, especially because so much of this quote-unquote advice, which is, as she points out, pretty rightfully, Vita very much is telling her what is going to happen. This is where Chi-Chi hits back like, oh, so the white lady is going to boss around the Latina and the black woman, huh?
Yeah, and Noxzema, like, doesn't disagree, but has also been putting up with this for years.
Yeah. They really get into it. They say some
Awful things to each other, yeah.
awful things to each other.
Yeah, there's some genuinely impressive strings of insults in this exchange.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Vita dips into a lot of bad things to say about Latines.
It's not great.
No, she is not taking the high road in this at all.
Yep. And before this can get into a really explosive argument, what we hear is, oh god, Virgil's beating up Carol Ann.
Yep.
So Vita is just like, okay, I am going to get involved. And Noxema's like, do not get involved. Vita's like, I'm gonna.
It's who I am.
And then in the middle of this, Chi-Chi, who has not let go of the argument they were literally just having, tells Vita that you put on a dress because you couldn't handle it as a man.
Oof.
Which is awful.
Yeah. It is also exactly the kind of insult that Chi-Chi, a trans woman, would come up with in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's saying it to Vita because she's worried it's true about herself.
Oh, no, baby.
Projection.
And there's this moment that is very small, very short, but is something that, like, was deeply affecting watching this, where after hearing this, Vita advances and there's a thing hanging from the light fixture here, just like a pull tab or something. And as she advances, it catches on her wig and she steps forward and it pulls off.
Yeah, it is that breaking of the illusion moment. For some reason, it's when a drag queen takes the wig off, that is the thing that always breaks the illusion. That's the one that flips your brain over from this is a drag queen character to this is a person in a costume.
Yeah.
And she looks like she's got sort of like, there's the headband that's pulling the hair back, there's the face full of makeup, and she looks like, it's almost as though she has been completely stripped naked. She just looks vulnerable. It wrenches my heart.
Yeah, and it cuts there. Like, it does not linger on this moment, which is really effective.
Yeah, it's really interesting that we cut the very next shot. And the argument has clearly been tabled. Noxema and Chi-Chi are with Vita as she is once again with the wig and everything, marching upstairs to Carol Ann and Virgil. It's interesting that that seems like that must have been an extremely private moment of like empathy between the three of them. Of like, we are not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that moment in Tangerine where the one character like takes her wig off and hands it to the other. It's just... yeah, it's good.
But anyway, it's now time to beat ass.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is now time for Vita to reveal the fact that she is Patrick Swayze.
And this is Patrick Swayze at the prime of his career.
Oh, yeah. This is when Patrick Swayze could kick the ass of about 95% of people on Earth.
Is this pre or post Roadhouse?
Oh, is this pre or post Roadhouse?
I think it's post Roadhouse. When did Roadhouse come out?
Fuck, Roadhouse is so good.
Okay, so this is 95. What year did Roadhouse come out?
89.
Yeah, supposed to be Roadhouse.
Okay, yeah.
Fuck. What a good movie.
So Vita kicks in the door and is like, Noxema, please take care of Carol Ann.
Mm-hmm.
I have to discuss something with Virgil.
Yes.
And Virgil even says straight to Vita's face that some women deserve to get hit.
Yep.
Which is like a suicide thing to say.
Yeah.
When Vita Boheme, played by Patrick Swayze in the prime of his life, is staring you in the face.
Oh, God, it's the dumbest possible thing to say in that situation. And Vita's just like, well, then conversely, some men need to be hit back, and just fucking backhands him.
So good.
Like, she never hits him with a closed fist is the best part of this whole scene.
Wait, I thought she did. I thought she slapped him with one hand and then came in with the other in a hook, like on a fist.
Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly then. But the thing that always
I don't
struck
know.
me about this is the fact that she was hitting him with an open hand.
Yeah, that's the first blow that is thrown here. And then we basically cut back out into the hallway with the closed door, and there's a ruckus happening inside there. And Carol Ann is terrified, like, oh my God, he's gonna kill Vita. He's gonna hurt Vita so bad. And Chi-Chi and Noxie are like,
That Vita works out. Don't worry about it.
yeah, there's something we have to tell you about Vita. She works out.
A lot.
A lot. There's even like the sound of breaking glass. It is a cartoonish ruckus in there. They may as well be a dust cloud with fists coming out of it.
Yeah.
And the next thing we see is just Virgil getting physically kicked out of his own house.
Ah, it's just so cathartic.
You love to see it.
You love to see it.
You love to see it. We even check back in with Sheriff Dollar doing some of the stuff we talked about earlier. But when we come back to Carol Ann, she's in the kitchen and she's drinking. They're just having a good just relaxation after this. And she's like, we should get rid of all men. And they're like, all men.
We have at least 2 objections to that concept.
and she's like, okay, maybe Mr. Rogers can stay.
Aww.
And then she points out that Mel Gibson's got a cute can, so he can stay, but he's not allowed to think or speak. I will point out this was pre-meltdown Mel Gibson, too. This was back when he was just annoying.
I think we'll come back to this conversation at the tail end, and they'll have made a small list of men who can just be some nice eye candy.
Mm.
And also Mr. Rogers can stay. He's a good man.
He is. Perhaps the best? Might be the best.
Might be the best. It has been an hour. Bobby Ray has come back. And Chi-Chi has come out to meet him. And he's so fucking adorable.
Oh, he's so earnest.
Oh,
He is pure dweeb.
she's like, oh, you make me feel like the most perfect girl. And his immediate response doesn't even have to think about it. It's like, oh, I don't have to do that. You are the perfect girl.
Oh my God. The affirmation.
Yeah. He just so clearly thinks the world of her. It makes the fact that they met 48 hours ago work a little bit better because he is just so earnest about this crush of his.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As far as he's concerned, this is the coolest chick who's ever lived.
Yeah. And he just starts extolling her virtues. And then he also says, I can also tell that you'd never lie to me or keep a secret from me. And Chi-Chi's like, uh-oh.
And she's like,
Yeah.
Any secret?
about that.
A little secret?
Teeny tiny little secret?
Maybe you can just keep one big secret from each other. And it's like, oh gosh, I don't think so. I don't think you can do that. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Chi-Chi then tells Bobby Lee in the kitchen that she doesn't want Bobby Ray. Bobby Lee can have him. Chi-Chi's got so many imaginary lovers in her head. She's fine. She'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
And Vita is immediately impressed with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vita is like, you put someone else's needs before yourself. That is so good and kind. And Maxime is like,
That's the next rule, baby.
that's step 3.
Abide by the rules of love. So we've got let good thoughts be your sword and shield, ignore adversity, and abide by the rules of love.
This is how you become a drag queen.
This is how you become a drag queen, apparently.
Listen, Noxema definitely had these rules laid out beforehand.
Oh, yeah, she absolutely definitely knew what these rules were before she started talking about them.
Everyone knows what these rules are. It's very common. Don't ask me more.
Do not inquire as to any details. I will not be answering any further questions.
And Vita and Chi-Chi both apologize to each other for saying some very uncouth things.
Indeed.
They hold hands across the table.
And repeating those insults, word for word, which just makes this funnier.
Yeah, and Carol Ann's eyes just bug out whoa. And the best part is that, Chi-Chi had some extremely well-written insults that just almost seemed like it was on a frickin' diss track.
Let's be clear, Vita got read to filth.
Yes.
Yes. Chi-Chi won that one. And she just recites it just plainly, like Bugs and Daffy going over, you stay out of this, he doesn't have to shoot you now.
He does so have to shoot me now. I command that you shoot me now.
And then we decide that the next project is going to be Bobby Lee.
Oh, God.
They put on the 10 Commandments.
So they're showing her the 10 Commandments because Ann Baxter is doing the moves, and she needs to know the moves.
This feels like a part that was definitely Noxema-based.
Well, keep in mind that Vita specifically, Vita's interest in movies is specifically movies featuring fabulous women. And
That is true.
Yes. Ann Baxter definitely fits the bill.
So they're giving her a makeover, they're giving her a talk, they're having her watch this incredible actress just look like $1 million bucks.
Yep. And doing, these absolutely spectacular, like, little gestures that are, like, the thing that they're trying to impress on Bobby Lee. Is like, this is the grace. This is the confidence that you need to be moving with.
They put Bobby Lee, they do her hair up, and then they also put her in this, like, really cute, like, pink cocktail dress with this big floofy skirt.
Oh, it's such a good dress.
It's so cute.
I love it so much.
They set up this whole thing outside the side of the restaurant. It looks like there's been this big, like, red and wild theme going on that they've set up, like, streamers all along the wall. And they have her pose with her back to the street, like, one arm up, one leg sort of angled a little, posing. And here comes Bobby Ray wandering up.
And he initially think that it's Chi-Chi.
Yeah. And she's like, Bobby Ray, come here.
Mhm.
And then he shows up. And we shoot this whole scene so that we can see Bobby Lee's face as she is facing away from Bobby Ray and Bobby Ray looking upon her wonderingly. And it's great because Bobby Lee recites all these lines like, "Oh, it's you, Bobby Ray. Call me Roberta."
And you can see the very uncertain look on her face as she's going, like, you can see her, like, going back over the script that she's been told to memorize.
Mm-hmm. And, like, every time Bobby Ray, like, compliments her, says she looks incredible in that dress, this elation that passes over her face until she schools herself again.
Yeah, and goes back into, oh, this old thing. It's just so good.
And finally, he asks her to dance. And then, like, and she basically breaks there. Like, she loses her cool and she's just delighted and turns around and dances with him because they're playing some music outside. And they have a little dance.
Yep, and Beatrice and Jimmy Joe are also dancing because they got together while they were heading into town, while everybody else was doing the day with the girls.
Yeah, there's definitely a point earlier in the movie where, like, they go over a pothole or something and they're on just, like, it's a long seat. There's not, like...
Yeah, it's a bench seat.
Yeah, it's a bench seat and there's not, like, buckets or anything. So she gets jostled over to leaning onto him and they both kind of exchange shy glances and kind of smile and she doesn't move back.
Oh, they're so cute.
He's like, I've waited 23 years to ask you this. Would you like to dance? They've been sweet on each other for decades. Oh, and like more folks, couples or no, just general folks around town just show up to start dancing with each other and just have a nice time.
Yep, and then we pan the camera up to where our three drag queens are observing all of this on the balcony. And Vita says something along the lines of, well, sometimes it just takes a ferry.
Oh, it's even better. It's, you know what, pumpkins? Sometimes it just takes a ferry.
Oh, God.
It works on several levels.
Yeah, the temptation to make a fairy godmother joke is very powerful.
They're each wearing, like, either one of them's in pink, one of them's in blue, and one of them's in green. Like the fairies from...
Oh my God, like Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather?
Yes, I believe they are. I believe
from
it's
Sleeping
like...
Beauty? Oh my God, I didn't even notice that.
I think that was like one of the... Because I love the IMDb, like, trivias.
That's very good. And they do this really cute thing while the music is just sort of swelling as one after another, Vita, then Noxie, then Chi-Chi, stand up, like sort of push themselves up and do a big dramatic sigh. And they do it, sigh, sigh, sigh. And then they all start like dancing kind of like a 3-woman chorus. Just this lovely little bit of choreography. Thank you, Kenny Ortega. We're all in this together. It's a lovely little scene. I really enjoy it. Now back to Sheriff Dollard.
Indeed.
Who's having a crisis at a bar.
Yeah.
He's having a crisis at a bar. He's complaining about it.
He's just saying this to no one.
Yeah, he's drinking himself insensible. He's saying this to no one. In fact, people are giving him kind of weird looks as he's ranting about this. And he just starts, like, openly speculating about intimacy between gay men. And I don't think Dollard is closeted. I don't think that's what this scene is communicating.
No.
I do think that he realizes that there's an intimacy he doesn't have in his life.
Yeah.
Because his idea of masculinity is a death trap.
Yeah, I think that's the right take here. It's not that he's necessarily like, because it's always such a cop-out, right, to say that the really homophobic guy is a closet case.
No.
Like, no, f off. But I really like this weird little rant he has where he slowly like builds himself essentially a fanfic of some sort. And it's not even like a horny one. It's just men having physical intimacy, which overlaps, but it's not quite the same thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less of a sexual thing and more of like a physical intimacy and vulnerability thing.
Yes, vulnerability. That's the key word here.
Yeah. And this is a guy who, like, does not allow himself that vulnerability at all in his life.
No, he is someone who is utterly humiliated at the idea of getting the shit kicked out of him by a girl. He does not have a very complex understanding of his own gender or sexuality here.
No, he's just sad.
Yeah.
I would be sad for him if we weren't a tremendous asshole as well.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's kind of the interesting thing about this movie, right? Is that he has been painted very clearly and very early on as a character that you can have no compunctions about hating, but it still takes the time to kind of momentarily feel pity for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not necessarily compassion, but certainly pity.
Because it's a good movie.
Because this is someone who could be so much better.
It's a good movie.
Who walks in later while he is sitting there drinking himself senseless with this glass slipper?
Except for Virgil.
And I also like that, like, they start talking because Dollard is so drunk, he's doing that thing where he instantly makes uncomfortable eye contact with the guy sitting next to him and wants to say hello.
And he starts talking to Virgil basically about these fucking people pretending to be women, these perverts. They ruined my life. And Virgil's like, pardon me? Tell me more. I think I know who they are.
Yeah. Virgil's like, is this your shoe? And he's like, no, I'm looking for the person who wears that shoe. And that is apparently the opener on a conversation that is, at this point, a foregone conclusion. We don't actually need to see that conversation.
Nope.
So the next day, Carol Ann is fixing the car herself.
Yeah.
And that rules.
Yeah, Carol Ann has known how to fix cars this whole time.
So badass.
She rules. She's awesome.
She's great. As she is working on fixing the Cadillac, she starts talking to Vita, and she's like, you know, I'm really going to miss you. You're incredible, and I think it's so important for a woman to have lady friends. And Vita's like, lady friends. Oh,
Yeah, there's something I should tell you.
And, like, Vita starts in on it, and she is clearly terrified that this is going to ruin what she has clearly come to treasure.
Yeah.
And then Carol Ann's like, oh, I clocked the Adam's apple like minute one, honey.
Yeah.
I just think that it's good to have a lady friend who has an Adam's apple.
Yeah.
Which is a more nuanced view of gender than you get in a lot of places these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a 1995 movie, and the line is, I'm very fortunate to have a lady friend who just happens to have an Adam's apple. Like,
Yeah.
this is far more far-seeing than you would expect from something that is almost 20 years old.
Yep, we've gone backwards.
Yeah. I watched this with my husband and he cried. Like, we just sat there and we were both like tearing up, going like,
Carol Ann and Vita are so good.
yeah. Their relationship is extremely special. These are two actors like acting their asses off, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And with that acceptance and just clear understanding between them, ta-da, the car has been fixed. The engine starts.
Yay! It was the power of love this whole time.
It was the power of love.
But before any progress can be made there, a cop car is pulling up.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And Virgil's truck is pulling up.
We do have a little bit before then where the drag queens are all showing each other their strawberry social outfits, and there's a great line where Chi-Chi says, how do I look? And Noxzema says, like the Miami sound machine exploded all over you.
Chi-Chi's got like the full like head wrap with like the big thing on top, kind of like the Chiquita banana lady.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so much.
It's so much. They look amazing. And they're all like in the middle of their room. So they're not outside while everyone else is like preparing to gather in the middle of town where they set up this big table on the main road, which Dollard almost runs over when he comes in. But he marches out with a megaphone
Mm-hmm.
and demands to have the drag queens marched out and nobody gets hurt. He's even got a shotgun, you asshole.
Yeah, he introduced a gun to this situation.
Which means it's time for our lovely ladies of this town to I am fucking Spartacus this.
Yes.
Oh, man. He's like, they're corrupting your way of life. You don't want this. They're changing things. And He demands that they come forward, and out marches a woman in a red dress with a big red veil over her face like it's fucking Lydia Dietz getting married in Beetlejuice.
Yes.
And a bunch of the other women start marching in behind her saying, oh, that's Vita. We're going to go support her. And as this woman approaches Sheriff Dollard and Virgil, she takes off her veil, and it's Carol fucking Ann.
Yeah, it is. Goddamn.
She just does the I am Spartacus. She's like, oh yeah, that's mine. I'm a drag queen.
First off, everybody's outfits in town look amazing.
Yes,
the
they
men
do.
and the women, everybody's got these fantastic outfits on. And they all march up, and it's like, actually, that's my shoe. I'm a drag queen. At some point, like, Clara just puts up this big, like, overwrought exasperation with her hands on her hips, and it's like, can I have my shoe back?
Yeah.
And Dollard's like, you're a drag queen? And she's like, nothing this beautiful could be real. Oh god, there's even a point where Bobby Ray says, I guess that makes me the drag king. And I should point out, Bobby Ray is currently wearing a white suit, a pink patterned dress shirt with like no tie that's open to like his collarbone, and his hair is done up in like a great big bouffant. I've seen multiple drag kings who look exactly like that.
Yes.
Amazing.
Like, everyone, like, whether or not they're dressed femme or not, is like, oh, baby, I'm a beautiful drag queen. It's me. That's my shoe.
Dollar realizes this is going nowhere, and he immediately beats a hasty retreat.
And they just start mocking him openly. Like, they just, like, harass this cop who marched into their town with a shotgun and a megaphone and just jeering at him. It is great.
It is amazing.
It's so good. It gives me life every time I see it. Watching this cop be humiliated.
Yeah.
He gets heckled.
Virgil's retreat is a little more subdued, but we get this great moment between him and Carol Ann, which just very clearly communicates, I am not afraid of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carol Ann just marches up to Virgil and doesn't even say anything. She just stares him down.
Oh, so good.
He just turns tail, gets in his truck, and leaves. He doesn't even stay around, like, at the edge of town like Dollar does. He just goes. Carol Ann deserves this.
Yes.
Oh, Stockard Channing just does that moment so well. This woman can act!
Oh, and, like, it is very much, like, Virgil is straight up, like, turning tail. It is very much a tail tucked between his legs, utterly cowed moment here.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we have the Strawberry Social.
Mm-hmm.
One of Carol Ann's daughters comes to get the girls in the room. And she's like, hey, Vita? Auntie Vita? Auntie Noxima? Chi-Chi? Are y'all in here? Opens the door. And then closes the door.
Mm-hmm.
Revealing that Chi-Chi has been hanging on to the door behind it.
So good.
Vita has been... Where was Vita hiding?
Under the bed. Under, like, the Murphy bed.
No, Noxie was under the bed.
Noxie was under the Murphy bed, and Vita was just, like, wrapped in a curtain with a lampshade on her head.
Yeah. Noxie especially, like, she gets up from under the bed and you can see her just physically lifting it up. She is so strong.
Oh my god, like, I noticed even, like, in just when she first debuts back in, like, the Drag Queen of America thing, like, she has some arms.
Yeah, she does.
Wesley Snipes is fit.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes' shoulders are very good.
Oh.
They're all just so impressed that this whole town of people who barely know them have stood up for them like this.
And they all just kind of hug each other. Because, like, Noxima's like, oh, you know what? You were right. We should take chances on people, Vita. And Vita says, like, I'm going to go to my parents' house and tell my parents that I am Vita Bohem. I don't need your approval, but I will take your acceptance.
And then Chi-Chi's like, I am definitely going to develop better taste in men and start wearing foundation that matches my actual skin tone.
So beautiful. That moment means so much.
And like, it's such a nice thing for all three of the characters to just sort of like agree that they themselves have been changed here. Someone stood up for Vita. Noxima reached out to people and made genuine connections that were risky for her. And Chi-Chi experienced someone who accepted her with affection and love in his heart and knows what she wants now. This is a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's such a fucking good movie. I'm like, do I need to buy it on Blu-ray? I might need to buy it on Blu-ray.
Yes, you need to buy it on Blu-ray.
Everybody should own this movie in multiple formats. So we have the Strawberry Social, which is just, it's a dance party ending, but it's fun. It's fun.
It's cute. They've got a whole bunch of picnic tables just lined up next to each other, so they even pull the characters up onto the top of the tables, and we have sort of a repeat of the runway sequence at the beginning of the movie. It's a good echo here.
It's good. It's really good. And meanwhile, while they're partying, you've got Sheriff Dollard off to the side, observing from a distance with something like jealousy in his heart.
Yeah.
But he's muttering about how, the founding fathers, they wouldn't have approved of something like this. And there's this random angel.
This
He's
old
like Santa
farmer.
in one of the Hallmark Christmas movies. He's just there.
Yeah.
He wanders up. He looks like the grandpa farmer of every person I ever met when I was growing up. He's got like a raggedy beard. He's got overalls. He's got a dog. And he wanders up. And Dollard turns to him, expecting to find an ally, and he's like, the founding fathers, blah, 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 blah. And the old man goes, I can tell you one thing about the founding fathers. They had great wigs.
They had some fabulous wigs.
And he keeps walking towards town. Yeah.
And he just straight up tips his hat.
Walks towards town.
Just this random angel at the end of the movie.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's the same vibe as Santa at the end of the Hallmark movie, come to impart a lesson.
Oh, God. And then this ending was actually on a reshoot. They figured they needed something else at the end of the movie, but we go to the Drag Queen of America contest.
Wait. No. Real quick.
Oh, right. Yes.
As the girls pack up, the Strawberry Social's over. They're all like getting stuff in the car. They're all riding in the front seat now because the back seat is going to be full of stuff that they have sort of been gifted along the way.
Yeah. Beatrice has given Noxzema a dress that belonged to her mother and says she was quite big across the soldiers, and Noxzema is so touched.
Clara gives Noxzema a letter, right? To give to...
Yeah, the actor whose photo she dropped earlier, whose name is still escaping me.
Ah, yes.
I'm pretty sure that actor's dead by this point.
Oh, yeah.
He ain't getting it.
Yeah, Noxie takes it. She's just so charmed.
She definitely wants all those records in the will.
Mm-hmm. All three of the creeps who are now reformed come up to wish them good afternoon. And Vita is like, Caroline, you should come with us. And Caroline smiles. She says no. She's got her girls to raise. She's going to be okay now.
She once dreamed about hearing those words.
Yeah, she says, I love you, Miss Vita Bohème. And Vita cries.
And Vita just basically starts crying.
She says, I've wanted my whole life to hear those words said to that name, and I'm very, very happy that you're the one to say them. Ah, Vita! You got to be loved!
It means so fucking much.
And in return, she hands Carol Ann the framed photo of Julie Newmar. And she's like, I don't know if you know who this is. And Carol Ann's, yeah, no, of course, it's Julie Newmar. You know, I always thought she was so statuesque.
Vita's like, me too!
Vita starts crying again.
And then the girls, now that the caddy is fixed, continue on their way to Hollywood.
As Vita is leaving, Carol Ann calls out to her and says, I don't think of you as a man, and I don't think of you as a woman. I think of you as an angel.
And Vita's like, yeah, that seems healthy.
Yeah, Vita's immediately like, yes, that's a perfectly healthy attitude to have, yes. She's very pleased.
And the girls drive out of town and continue to Hollywood, and Kit, take us to Hollywood.
Yeah, so this last scene was apparently on a reshoot because they felt they needed something else. So we go to the Drag Queen of America contest, where they are announcing the winner of the Drag Queen of America contest. And we're going through down this line of all the drag queens who have these great big, leaf things they're using to reveal their faces. And we get to the penultimate stage of the line, and it is Noxie and Vita. And they say, step 4, larger than life is just the right size. And they pull back, and the winner of the contest is Chi-Chi. And she is finally wearing foundation that matches her skin tone.
She looks amazing.
Oh, and she's got this wig that's like spit curls against her face.
So good.
Yes.
She's in this Marilyn Monroe kind of dress with this huge fishtail at the bottom.
Oh my God.
It's so good. This whole look is so good.
And she's handed her award by none other than Julie Newmar.
Miss Julie Newmar.
Who
she's crowned. She looks amazing.
who makes the kind of effortless shrug that Julie Newmar does of you're perfect. I have nothing to offer you. It's so, oh my fucking God, it's so good.
It's so good.
And I love getting this little extra bit here to see Chi-Chi, like, in her element as, like, just a full-fledged, like, queen here.
Yes, princess no more.
I think they also put this scene in on a reshoot because they realized that they'd skipped step 4.
That's true. They did.
They didn't have a step 4 before they put this bit in.
Oops. Oh, man. Oh. And, like, it does a freeze frame ending because it's 1995 on Julie Newmar just smiling.
Yeah, and that's the end of the movie. We go to credits from there. As Girls Just Want to Have Fun plays over the credits.
Oh, my gosh. This movie is
it's a good movie.
So fucking cute.
I love this movie.
Yeah, and this is a movie that loves you.
It is.
Which I think is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should have something in their life that they love that loves them back.
Yeah, it is a very earnest sort of affection that this movie shows. And again, like, it is written by someone who is gay, by someone who understands this culture and wants to portray it with affection and love, which again is so fucking rare to find in the year of our Lord 1995, which was, like, the 90s were such a huge height of, like, making fun of men in any kind of, like, non-standard presentation.
Yeah, it was very much starting in the 90s and very much in the early 2000s. We were getting to this stage where, like, people were aware enough that gay people existed that the concept of gay people existing started to become, like, a threat. And therefore, there was a lot, like, this huge uptick in, like, homophobic humor around this time.
Yeah, where the punchline could just be, man gay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all that, we have movies like this, and we have movies like The Birdcage. Birdcage especially, like, you know, it's played for laughs, but it has such tremendous affection for its main characters. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, and it was a very brave movie when it came out.
Yes.
So fucking brave. It's brave now.
I hate to be the person saying you couldn't make this movie today, but I'm not sure this movie would get made today.
Yeah.
I think you could, but it wouldn't get a theatrical release.
No, I think it would be like an absolute shit tier, like, streaming release.
Yeah.
And it also wouldn't, I think, it would feel like it needed to say something that was, like, fit a certain, like, political...
It would have to sort of check all the boxes.
Yeah, it would be trying to fit a format.
Yeah, there would have to be a scene where everyone go around the table and list off all the, you know, queer micro-identities that you have.
Yeah, and instead of just letting it be like, this is a movie about what it's like, about loving being this way.
Yeah, like, I would say this is very clearly a contemporary piece to the era of queer history and queer culture, where a piece like Dykes to Watch Out For exists.
Yes, where you're not necessarily, like, there's an element of explaining it to the straights in this movie, but it is mostly just, like, a story told by gay people to gay people.
Yeah, and to baby gay people.
To baby gays.
Yes. To a lot of people who watch this movie and go, oh, oh,
yeah,
I'm starting to get things now.
Also, honestly, in my head, I love this movie. I also just keep coming back to Rachel Tensions.
Rachel Tensions is a fucking good drag name.
Fuck. The only time I ever want to see a Confederate flag, unless it's the one that Minnesota refuses to give back.
This is why Wesley Snipes should be allowed to do as much tax evasion as he wants. It's because he's also capable of doing movies like this.
Absolutely.
Wesley Snipes isn't acting anymore because he committed tax fraud, right? That's basically the...
Well, he's not acting in Hollywood anymore because he committed tax fraud. But as I mentioned earlier, he owes a lot of money to the IRS. And as a result, there's just like a string of like mid-tier international action movies that he's just in because he had to work.
Just churning them out. Gotta pay them bills.
He's just churning. And they're fine. They're absolutely fine. Like, Wesley Snipes is good at what he does. But yeah, he should be allowed to do all the tax evasion he wants. If you're an actor this good, with this much care for your craft, you should be allowed to do crimes up to including tax evasion.
And with that, are we ready for our final facts?
I think we are. Bob, as our guest, you're starting us off. What is your final fact?
My final fact, you have to listen to this soundtrack while you are doing chores.
It's so powerful.
It's just important that you do it for yourself.
That's very good.
Vita would want you to, and Vita only wants what's good for you.
That is definitely true.
Yes, Vita loves you and wants you to be happy.
Yes.
There's also some songs on it that are not in the movie, and they're so fucking good.
Ooh. Ooh. All right, Mac, what is your final fact?
It's June 2nd. Happy Pride Month, bitches.
Yeah!
Oh, that's right. This comes out during Pride. We made it. We delayed this movie long enough that it's Pride Month.
We totally did that on purpose, folks.
It was on purpose. Don't worry about it. It's not cursed. It's just gay.
Annie, what's your final fact?
Everyone benefits from a fish out of water in a small town story. I don't care what other genre trappings you want to put on there. Everyone benefits. It's a great formula. It works. All right, and Kit, as this was your movie, what is your final fact?
My final fact is that gender should be a canvas, not a prison.
Ooh. That's good shit.
It's good shit.
That's good shit.
I was proud of myself for coming up with that one.
That is good shit.
Thank you.
Okay. Then I think we thoroughly covered this movie. It's a good movie. I like this movie.
It's a good movie. Everyone should see this movie.
Thank you for picking this movie, Kit. My life is enriched for having seen it now.
I am very glad I got to share it with you guys.
And Bob, thank you so much for coming on to talk about this movie with us.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me a reason to revisit the movie that, like, I don't know, man. It's one of those, I realized things about myself, but I was so young. I was just like, no, this movie's just extremely important to me. And then obviously, as you get older, you're like, oh, now I understand why.
Yeah, I kind of had to percolate a little.
Yeah, you look at it and you go, oh, it's not exactly me, but it's like me in the other direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And Bob, Meganbob, my dear friend, I know you hate doing this.
I sure do.
Plug yourself. Where can we find you?
You can find me on the internet, probably not on social media, but if you go look for the Hard Choices podcast, wherever the fuck you get your podcasts, you will find a chonky, thick motherfucker of a podcast where we rank the fuckability of fictional characters in a given universe in an attempt to find the median zenith and nadir of fuckability. Annie Creighton has been on it multiple times.
So many times.
And buddy, if you're not a coward and you love yourself, you will go listen to the public version. Now, I want to stress to you that the public version is filthy, but the private version is much filthier. Of the Bad Choices Looney Tunes episode where we are drunk talking about how Daffy Duck fucks. And it's a special thing, and it's a thing that is going to recontextualize the rest of your fucking life. If you want to have a good time after you listen to this, pour yourself a drink, turn off your brain, download Bad Choices Looney Tunes Public Edition, and let us take you somewhere that changes, I don't know, things about you that you probably didn't know existed. There's also other episodes that are less gonna do that, but like, come on, don't be a coward.
You can also try out the Dragon Age episode if that's your thing. Mac and I are both on that one.
Hell yeah, Mac's on that. We talk about butts.
There was definitely a point where yes, I did in fact say, oh, Mackenzie.
It's very good. It's very good. Hard Choices is the podcast that I consider to be a sister podcast. I will fight you because it is about nothing but passion, joy, and your feelings. It is everything. Hard Choices is a podcast that you probably didn't know you needed in your life, but you damn sure need it in your life.
Yeah, Hard Choices is a great, 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 great show. I love being on it. Bob is in every episode, I think.
There's one that I'm not, but man, it has some fucking things in it. If you also, I don't know if you know who Chris Sims is, but I got him to weigh in on whether or not that one crocodile man from Batman has a dick or not, like whether or not crocodiles have penises.
Yeah, Chris Sims was on a Batman episode, which is like the best thing that he could possibly be on.
So are we looking at like a hemipenis situation here, or?
I asked him to weigh in on it, and he was surprised that I would ask him about this. And I was like, you're the foremost Batmanologist. If somebody's going to know whether or not this guy has a dick, is it not you? Like, who the fuck else am I supposed to call?
Yeah, like who else would you be asking at that point?
It's true.
It seemed weird to him that I was asking him to take my phone call on this, but I was like, buddy, it's you or no one.
Bob also has a podcast called Garden Plots with Skeletor, which I am wildly fond of.
I do.
If you enjoyed our episode on the He-Man and
Thank you.
She-Ra Christmas special, Bob is the other person whose Skeletor opinions I trust above all others because they also understand Skeletor in the same way I understand Skeletor.
Yeah,
He likes fights. Fights are fun.
he does. He loves fights. He likes being evil. It makes him happy. And he likes being happy, which is an interesting contradiction, but it is at the heart of who he is. Garden Plots with Skeletor is currently on hiatus because of life, but there are many episodes of it, and it is a podcast that Skeletor himself is starring in and producing, in which he is trying to right the gardening wrongs of the world. But it is also very much a slice of life. It is also very much a found family. It is also very much a workplace comedy, and it is going to fill your heart with joy and wonder and softness.
I have made many friends of the people who are involved in that podcast, and everyone is very good.
Thank you. Thank you. That's why I try to connect people. I mean, not as much as Lucas does. Lucas has a special talent for it, but, you know, in my own way.
Yeah, Lucas is the podcast nexus.
He is.
But Garden Plots, Hard Choices, go listen to both of those folks. You're going to have a fantastic time.
Thank you for having me on.
I'm very glad that we could have you on, Bob.
This was a delight.
Go listen to that fucking soundtrack. It's so good.
Now I have to plug everything.
You can do this, Annie. I know it's difficult.
That is going to do it for us. Join us next time with another very good fact. You'll find out what it is when we will. In the meantime, I Will Fight You comes out every 5 weeks. You can find it wherever you download podcasts. It is edited by Lucas Brown of The Math of You.
Yeah.
If you would like to support us with a like, rating, review, subscribe, or whatever, just go do that and talk to us on crcpodcast.bluesky.social. Just look for CRC Podcasts. Try it at our website, crookedrussiancam.horse or crookedrussiancam.gay. You can find out about this one, as well as our other shows, on our Patreon, patreon.com/thegem-jam. You can get early episode releases for I Will Fight You, as well as show notes on some of our other tiers, and again, stuff for all of our other shows. Go look up Meganbob at Hard Choices and at Garden Plots with Skeletor. And I think I did it.
Yeah.
I think I got it.
I think we're good.
So until next time, dear listeners, I'm Annie.
I'm Kit.
And I'm Mac.
I'm Meganbob.
And we have fought you. And honestly, Lucas, if you want to pull up a clip from Red Hot Riding Hood, that would be great here.
Red Hot Riding Hood is our #1 quoted thing.
Listen, Tex Avery makes good fucking cartoons.
Yeah, he does.